Yo, what's popping, my unstoppable force of awesome? It's your dude, Chronos, back in the mix with What If Deku Had Venom, Part 2. And trust me, we're cranking it up to a whole new level. Before we dive into this mind-blowing mashup, smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that bell to keep the hype alive. Incident. Once again Kyoka stood at UA's gates, but this time not for the entrance exam. No, this time she was a student. Donning her UA uniform, she walked into the school. As she roamed the halls looking for Class 1A, she bumped into someone familiar. Oh hey, I remember you. Startled, Kyoka turned around to find Uraraka standing there. Oh, it's you, I don't think I ever got your name, said Kyoka. Achiko Uraraka, it's nice to meet you, said Uraraka with a bright smile. Kyoka nodded. Likewise, the name's Kyoka Jiro. As the two walked inside the classroom, they were greeted by the sound of shouting. Please get your feet off of the desk, demanded a tall boy with blue hair and glasses. There, with his feet kicked up on the desk and his chair leaning back, was Bakugo. What are you, some stickler for the rules? Leave me alone. The boy in blue chopped his hand. We are in UA, one of the most prestigious schools in all of Japan. You should act with a bit more decency. Hey, isn't that the one boy that was uptight? Asked Uraraka. Kyoka nodded. Yeah, looks like he got into UA too. Looking around the room, Kyoka saw someone she recognized. There in the back, sitting alone, was the girl with the black hair. She's here? But I don't remember seeing her at the entrance exam. Strange. However, as the two girls stood at the doorway, a voice was heard behind them. If you are here to socialize, then you can leave now. Uraraka and Kyoka turned around slowly to find a sleeping bag on the floor. Suddenly the bag stood up, and turning around they saw the face of a very tired-looking man. Take your seats, class starts now. Kyoka quickly found her seat. As fate would have it, she sat beside the girl with the black hair. The sleeping bag then walked over to the podium in front of the glass. Alright, welcome to UA. My name is Aizawa and I'll be your homeroom teacher. Now that introductions are out of the way, go get changed into your gym uniforms and meet me on the field. Everyone looked at each other confused. Did I stutter? Get moving, you have 10 minutes. Seeing that he was serious, everyone quickly went to get changed. As they changed, Kyoka couldn't help but look around at each of the girls and notice how much bigger they were. Clenching the uniform, Kyoka shook her head. Can't think about that now, besides, it doesn't matter, right? You alright, Jiro? Asked Uraraka. You look distracted. Kyoka snapped out of her trance. Yeah, I'm fine, just nervous, that's all. Hey, don't be, said a girl with pink skin, hair, and yellow horns on her head. We are in this together, Mina Ashido, by the way. Mina's right, it's the first day. I'm sure Mr. Aizawa won't do anything crazy, ribbit, said a girl with long, straight, dark green hair. Tsuyu Ajiri, but call me Tsu. Well, since we are all introducing each other, my name is Toru Hagakure. It's nice to meet you, said a floating shirt. That's when the girl in black closed her locker. My name is Momo Yayorozu. It's nice to meet all of you. And I do hope we get along. Now that they were all introduced, the girls looked over at the clock to see that they only had 2 minutes left. They quickly made it to the field to find all of the guys were already there, along with Aizawa. Good, now that everyone is here we can start. However, that's when Uraraka raised her hand. Mr. Aizawa, what about the orientation? We don't have time for that. If you are serious about becoming heroes, then you will spend all of your time here learning. Bakugo, think fast. Aizawa then threw a ball at Bakugo, to which he caught. What was your ball throwing score in middle school? About 50 meters, answered Bakugo. Aizawa nodded. Good, now throw it using your quirk. See that circle, do whatever you want, just don't leave it. Bakugo smirked as he walked into the circle. Winding up, Bakugo flexed his arm, and throwing his arm forward, a large explosion rippled throughout his hand. Die! He yelled out as the ball was launched into the air. Kyoka blinked a couple of times. Why yell out die? Good, with this we can test your quirk's limits and see what you have to improve on. Turning around, Aizawa was holding a small device that displayed the distance Bakugo threw the ball, 705 meters. Whoa, this is awesome, said a boy with red hair. Right. We get to use our quirks as much as we want. This is going to be fun, said Mina, excited. That's when Aizawa raised an eyebrow. Fun, you say? Alright, how about this? Whoever gets last place will be kicked out of the hero course. 19 is a terrible number of students. I would rather have an even number. The class fell silent. What? You can't do that? It's barely the first day, said a tiny boy with purple balls as hair. I can and I will. UA gives teachers a lot of liberty when it comes to this. So now that you know what's at stake, let's get started, shall we? Kyoka's face turned serious. There's no way in hell I'm leaving this class, not after Izuka helped me get here. With eyes burning with determination, Kyoka took each challenge head-on. Aizawa's little test consisted of sit-ups, push-ups, a 50-meter dash, a long-distance run, grip strength, standing long jump, repeated side steps, toe touches, and of course the ball throw. Safe to say Kyoka was exhausted by the end of it. She wasn't in the best of shape, but working out with Izuku did come in handy. She wouldn't be last at the very least, and now it was just down to her and the final test. Standing in the circle, Kyoka grabbed the ball. Normally she would throw it, but since she was allowed to use her quirk, she had a better idea. Jamming the ball into one of her earphone jacks, Kyoka channeled her heartbeat through the ball, causing it to launch into the sky. Turning around, Aizawa showed the screen. Not bad, nice work using your quirk in that way. Kyoka smiled at her score, 200 meters. Nice. Alright, everyone gather up, I am about to display the results of the test. Aizawa then pressed a button on the remote. A projection soon appeared that displayed everyone's position. Kyoka nodded. Hey, 10 out of 19 isn't too bad, at least I'm not last. However, that's when the short boy with purple balls as hair fell to his knees. This was Mineta. And my dreams of becoming a hero for the ladies is over. Really? That's the only reason why you wanted to be a hero? Asked Kyoka with disgust. Mineta gave Kyoka a glare but quickly went back to weeping. So that was all a bluff, said Aizawa. Everyone turned to Aizawa. What? Honestly, did you guys really think he would kick us out? Asked Momo. It was an obvious bluff to get us worked up. Aizawa nodded. Right you are, and now that you know what is at stake here or could be, I trust you will all be trying your best? The class nodded. Good, go get changed and head to the orientation. The class quickly went off to change, but as Kyoka was changing she let out a sigh of relief. If I did get kicked out and Izuku found out, he would have been upset. That's when one of the girls, Mina, threw an arm around Kyoka. Oh, who is this Izuku? A boyfriend perhaps? Kyoka turned red. Did I say that out loud? And no, he's not my boyfriend, he's just a friend. Mina smirked. Right, a friend. Well, we just met so I won't push this too much, but you best be prepared for later. Kyoka laughed nervously. I already get the feeling this is going to be a long year for me. With Izuku. Izuku was bored out of his mind. Currently he was sitting in class. He was after all going to high school. This school started 1 week earlier, so they were already in the swing of things. He really didn't want to be here, but he did promise Inko that he would go to high school. He was feeling a bit under the weather, but Izuku choked it up to the changing seasons. Sitting in history class, the teacher was going over something. He wasn't really paying attention. Instead, he tried to distract himself by looking out the window and thinking of ways he could use the information Shigaraki gave him against the villains. We shouldn't waste our time here, said Venom inside Izuku's mind. I know, but this is what normal people do, we go to school. So have you thought of ways to fight the heroes on the list? Asked Izuku as he twirled a pencil in his hand. Most are not a problem, the one called Eraserhead should be easy. Midnight, as she's called, is also easy prey. Her quirk is tricky, but if we stop her before she releases the toxin we should be fine. Of those on the list, only 2 pose any real threat, explained Venom. Let me guess, Present Mike and All Might, right? We can deal with Mike, but All Might's power and speed is something we can't take on, said Izuku. I agree, but from the information in the notes, he does seem to have a weakness. Izuku stopped twirling his pencil. He does? What is it? Asked Izuku. From what I gathered, All Might has some sort of injury on his body that has made him considerably weaker these last couple of years. If we can find this weak spot, we can exploit it. Izuku narrowed his eyes. Easy, Izuku, we know you hate him, but we'll have our chance soon enough. Izuku closed his hand, causing the pencil to break in his hands. I'll make him pay for shattering my dreams like that. Midoriya! You with us? Asked his teacher. Izuku looked up. Yeah, I'm here. Good, so can you tell me when Constantinople fell? Asked the teacher. Izuku stood up. May 29, 1453. The Ottomans took down the city after a 53-day siege. The teacher was surprised. He thought Izuku wasn't paying attention. Correct. Sitting back down, Izuku went right back to looking out the window. I wonder what Kyoka is up to. 1 week later. Izuku stood at the top of a building overlooking the city wearing a black hoodie. The heroes, they haven't gone after me lately. Why? It seems that our last encounter was different, explained Venom. You mean those men with guns? Those men were part of a group, YC was it? Said Izuku, remembering back. The very same place where we formed our bond, said Venom. I'm glad you remember us. I think it's time we had a chat, Venom, said a voice behind Izuku. Startled, Izuku turned around. As he did, Venom covered Izuku completely. How did this guy get behind us? I do not know, but if he was able to do that, he must be dangerous. Shall we kill him? Asked Venom. Wait, if he wanted to attack us, he would have already. Let's see what he has to say first, said Izuku. Who are you, and what do you want? Asked Venom as he towered over the man. The man walked up to Venom and fixed his tie. Like I said, I'm here to talk. Venom growled. Then speak, but if we find what you have to say annoying, we will kill you. The man laughed. To think you became this violent, that's to be expected. You did kill all of our other test subjects. Let me introduce myself. My name is Kenshin Yayorozu, CEO of YTC. Izuku's eyes widened. It's really him, but why is he here? And why did he say that you killed the other test subjects? What is he talking about? Nothing, don't worry about that, answered Venom. We know who you are. You forced us to bond with the others. Treated us like a lab rat. Venom then reached out and grabbed Kenshin by the neck. Lifting him up, Kenshin struggled to breathe. Wait, I said I was here to talk, let me do that. To the both of you. Venom narrowed his eyes. Venom. Don't kill him. Throwing Kenshin to the ground, Venom stood over him. Get on with it already. Grabbing his neck, Kenshin began to cough. I'm here to offer the boy inside you a chance to give you up. Of course it won't be free. I am ready to offer you 1 billion yen. All the boy has to do is hand you over. Venom laughed. The boy would never trade us for money. If that's all you have to say, then I'm leaving. However, just as Venom was about to leave, Kenshin stood up. He doesn't know, does he? What's happening to him? Venom stopped. Oh, I see, you never told him. What you do to your hosts? Venom, what the hell is he talking about? Asked Izuku nervously. It starts off small, tiredness, loss of concentration, violent outbursts of anger, but soon the symptoms become worse. First the liver fails, then the kidneys, followed by the lungs, and finally the heart. Kenshin laughed. You kill every host, even those with a so-called perfect host. Venom roared, causing the split to splatter across Kenshin's face. Shut up! You know nothing, we can fix him. Kenshin smiled. We both know that's a lie, a farce you tell your host to gain their trust. In a fit of rage, Venom smacked Kenshin across the face, sending him flying back across the roof. Do not come near us anymore. If you do, your entire company will be burned to the ground. With that, Venom jumped from the roof. As he was, Izuku finally asked, Is it true? What he said, is it true? Venom stopped atop a light pole. No, they are all lies. We would never do that to you. You cannot start doubting us, Izuku. Without us, remember, you are nothing. We gave you power, we gave you purpose, and we can be the ones to take it away. Remember that. Let's just go home. I'd rather stick around here any longer, said Izuku as they made their way back home. However, just as they were about to go home, Izuku got a call on the phone Shigaraki had given him. We are ready, meet us at the location we are sending you at 12 p.m. We have a job for you, is all Shigaraki said before hanging up. Now at home, Izuku didn't say a word. Instead, he went straight to bed. Tomorrow he was finally going to pay back the debt he owed. Back on the roof, Kenshin was helped up by his men. Are you okay, sir? Kenshin nodded. Standing up, he straightened his tie. I'm fine. So, did the camera work? One of the men nodded. Yes, sir, the camera on your tie captured it all. Kenshin smiled. Good, send everything to the lab and have them analyze it all. The next day, Venom was swinging from building to building to get to his designated point. A while later he finally landed on top of a warehouse. Making his way inside he noticed that it was empty. "What is this, some sort of prank?" asked Izuku. However, as Venom looked around, a black portal opened up in the middle of the warehouse. From it appeared Kurogyri. "Venom, good you're here. Please follow me, I will take you to the hideout." Nodding, Venom walked into the portal and once again found himself in the bar. Shigaraki sat on a stool. "I thought you wouldn't show up." "A deal is a deal, and we don't break our word. Now tell us, what are we going to do?" asked Venom. "We are going to take down All Might," said Kurogyri. Venom's eyes widened. "Can you do it? Can you really kill him?" "We can and we will, besides, we won't do it alone. Now, as we speak, several dozen minions are assembling. They are pawns but useful. You, on the other hand, will take down All Might along with one of my master's creations." Snapping his fingers, a portal opened up behind the villain, revealing a tall, muscular, bird-faced monster. "Venom, meet Nomu. Created for the sole purpose of killing All Might." Still a bit taller than the creature, Venom could tell it was special. "This thing, it was once human, was it not?" "I'm surprised you can tell, but yes, this thing was once human. But after some experiments, he lost all of his humanity and turned into this," explained Kurogyri. However, that's when Venom transformed his arm into a blade and sliced the Nomu's arm off. The monster screeched out in pain. "What the hell are you doing?" asked Shigaraki, furious. "It cuts so easily, can this thing really take down All Might?" asked Venom. But in that moment Izuku noticed something. "Venom, look, it's healing." Venom watched as the Nomu began to regrow its arm, and in seconds he was as good as new. Perhaps I underestimated this thing. What else can it do?" "It has All Might's strength and speed, along with super regeneration and one other quirk. With these quirks, not even All Might will be able to take him down," said Shigaraki with a smile. "If it means we get to kill All Might, then let's go. It's about time we made him pay for what he did to us," said Venom as his tongue whipped around. "Kurogyri, take us," ordered Shigaraki. "Remember, All Might is our target, everyone else you can do as you please. Or better yet, kill them." Nodding, Kurogyri focused and opened a portal for the several dozen minions, and then one for them. Walking through it, Venom was temporarily blinded by the light of the sun. When his eyes adjusted, he noticed he was inside a dome. "Where are we?" "This is the USJ, one of UA's many facilities. Thanks to my sources, we found out that he would be here today along with the hero course," said Shigaraki. "Kurogyri, make sure they don't leave." Disappearing in a black cloud, Kurogyri went off to do what he was told. Izuku couldn't believe it. The hero course, then that means. Looking towards the entrance, Izuku could see a group of scared kids, and in the crowd stood Kyoka. "And no, we can't do this anymore. Kyoka is there." Venom surprisingly agreed, but if we attack Shigaraki, he might unleash that beast on us. "I don't care. We have to stop Shigaraki." With Kyoka and her entire class now stood in fear as villains began to appear from the center plaza. There were attempts to call for help, but signals were being blocked. Standing in her hero costume, which consisted of a black jacket that ended at her waist and sleeves of her arms. She also wore a pale red shirt, a choker, and big boots that acted as speakers to plug her earphone jacks in. "Man, I didn't think we would deal with real villains this early." "Everyone stay back," ordered Aizawa as he lowered his goggles. 13, get the students out of here." 13, another hero accompanying them, nodded. "Right. Mr. Aizawa, what are you going to do?" asked Uraraka, worried. "Don't worry about me, I got a few tricks up my sleeve for situations like this. Now go!" Aizawa then jumped down the stairs and towards the villains. Aizawa was taking down several villains at a time thanks to his quirk that erased other quirks. That, and combined with his superior fighting style, he found himself taking on a large number of enemies and winning. As he fought, however, he caught a glimpse at Venom. Aizawa's eyes widened. What is he doing here? Did Venom join them? As he took down the few that remained in the plaza, he then turned his attention to Shigaraki. "Wow, most impressive, Eraserhead, you managed to take down my pawns. But you won't be able to take down my secret weapon. Eraserhead, meet Nomu, specifically designed to kill All Might." "Nomu, kill him!" The Nomu roared as it stomped its way towards Aizawa. He tried to use his quirk but found that it didn't even slow down. But that's when Venom grabbed Shigaraki by the arm. You didn't say we would be attacking students. What about All Might? He's supposed to be here, you will wait until he shows up, said Shigaraki. Venom growled. We don't take orders from you. Annoyed, Shigaraki tried to reach for Venom, but Venom quickly jumped back. You know, Master said you could be of use to us. But honestly, you're nothing but a nuisance, just like those kids. I wonder what would happen if you were to face some of them. That's when a portal opened up from underneath Venom, causing him to fall through it. Now that that's out of the way, we can finally focus on you, Eraserhead. With Venom. Venom opened his eyes to find that he was several meters in the air and falling. Turning, he noticed that he was falling towards the direction of a mountainous area. Missing the edge of a cliff, Venom thought fast and dug his claws into the stone to slow his fall, before completely stopping. Damn that Shigaraki, he's going to pay for what he's done. We'll get our chance, but for now let's get out of here. We can't afford to fight any of the students, said Izuku, as Venom began to climb up the cliff. Jumping up, Venom landed on a ledge. However, before he could even survey the area, 2 black balls hit him in the chest. Venom looked down. What? That's when the 2 balls suddenly began to flash red and beep. What followed was 2 quick explosions that caused Venom to screech out in pain. Venom's chest split open with black fibers wiggling around the wound. Who dares? That's when someone came out from behind one of the rocks with a metal bow staff in hand. Take this! They yelled out as they jumped into the air and kicked Venom in the face. Unfazed, Venom simply grabbed the person by the leg and tossed them aside. Sliding to a stop, Venom noticed that it was a girl with black hair, and who was wearing a rather revealing hero outfit. She must be one of the hero students. Don't hurt her. Let's try to convince her we are not with them, suggested Izuku. Venom put up his hands. Wait, we don't want to fight. The girl looked at him weird. What, you came here to kill us, did you not? We came here against our will. We were forced here, explained Venom. I have nothing against you, so we'll just pretend we didn't see you. The girl thought about it, but before she could answer, a sound wave ripped through the ground. Don't fall for it, Momo! He's trying to lower your guard, yelled out Kyoka as she stuck her jacks into the ground. Kyoka! Damn it, why now of all times? Said Izuku as Venom jumped forward and avoided the rocks. Momo nodded. Right, I can't believe he almost got me with his tricks. Venom landed behind the 2 girls. We weren't tricking you. Just listen to us. But Momo was done talking. Jiro, I'll distract him. Once I do, hit him with a sound blast. Kyoka nodded. Right. With sparks coming off her arm, Momo began to create something. Once she was done, it materialized as a container. Throwing it into the air, it exploded, causing a smoke screen. Stop, we don't want to hurt you. That's when from within the smoke javelins appeared. Venom dodged out of the way, but everywhere he went the javelins would appear. How can she see us? As Venom pondered that question, a javelin came in and stabbed him in the shoulder. It did nothing, so Venom pulled it out and threw it back at Momo. The projectile landed centimeters from Momo's feet. I said no hurting them. That was too close, yelled out Izuku. Fine, we'll just knock her out then. Venom then heard beeping sounds. What? Looking on the cliff he was on, Venom noticed several little bombs stuck to the side. That's when Izuku put it together. She never wanted to hit us, she just wanted to distract us. Venom tried to jump out of the way, but just as he pushed off the wall, the bombs went off, sending him tumbling towards the ground. The explosions did some damage, but Venom was back on his feet in a matter of seconds. That's it. I warned you, playtime is over, growled Venom as he reshaped his hand into a Morningstar weapon. But before anything else could happen, a massive sound wave hit Venom, forcing him to his knees. Venom screeched out in pain as the black suit began to vibrate. However, it wasn't enough to force Venom into Izuku like the other times. Venom slowly began to get up, and taking a step he managed to walk. It slowed him down, said Momo. Hit him again. Kyoka nodded and plugged in the other earphone jack into the speaker on her boot. The second sound wave hit Venom, and this was the one to force Venom to the floor. "See, can't hold on. Don't you dare, Venom, not right now. I need you," said Izuku as Venom began to peel itself off of Izuku. "I'm going in," yelled out Kyoka as she made her way closer to Venom, which in turn just made things worse for him. The two girls watched as the black suit began to disappear, revealing Izuku underneath it. Now just a few feet away, the sound wave knocked Izuku seemingly unconscious. Kyoka stopped her quirk. Did we get him? Momo nodded. I think so. However, that's when she noticed that thing. It's just like what father was looking for. With his head on the ground, Momo and Kyoka looked at Izuku. His hair is really green, isn't it? Asked Momo. Kyoka's heart began to race. Why yeah, he looks young too. Almost our age if I had to guess. Grabbing his shoulder, Momo flipped Izuku so they could get a good look at his face. Huh, so this is the face of the vigilante known as Venom. Kyoka's eyes widened. There on the floor laid Izuku. I knew it, I didn't want to believe it was you. Momo raised an eyebrow. Jiro, do you know him? But before Kyoka could answer, Izuku suddenly snapped his eyes open. Getting up fast, he grabbed Momo by the face and slammed her to the ground. Kyoka didn't even have time to react when Izuku grabbed her and pushed her to the ground. Now on top of her, Izuku looked Kyoka dead in the eyes. So what do you plan on doing now? Are you going to bite my head off? Asked Kyoka. Izuku's breathing was heavy. Why, you know I won't do that, not to you. Really? 'Cause I don't even know who you are anymore, said Kyoka. Why are you with the villains? Izuku looked away. I owed them a favor. And I didn't know they were going to attack UA or you. If I had known that, I wouldn't have agreed to join. Kyoka narrowed her eyes. How do I know you're not lying again? Izuku was about to respond when all of a sudden his heart rate began to increase. Grabbing his chest, Izuku got off of Kyoka and began to stumble backwards. Kyoka got up and immediately was worried. Izuku! What's wrong? I don't know. However, as he spoke, Izuku suddenly spit out blood. What Kenshin said was actually the truth. With blood running down the corner of his mouth, Izuku suddenly fell forward. Hitting the dirt hard, Kyoka ran to his side. Izuku! What the hell is going on? Izuku struggled to speak. Venom. Kyoka didn't understand, but one thing she did understand was that her friend was hurt, and she needed to help him. She then heard footsteps. Looking up, Kyoka noticed that Momo had gotten back up. Momo, help me get him up. Why are you helping him? He's a villain, leave him, said Momo, confused. He's not a villain. He's my friend, please Momo, I can't leave him, said Kyoka. Momo looked at Kyoka and knew that she wouldn't give it up. Sighing, Momo nodded and began to help Izuku up. Now leaning up against Kyoka, they slowly made their way towards the plaza. As they were walking, Izuku spoke. Why your hero costume, I like it. Kyoka smiled. Shut up and save your strength, I'll get you out of here. Then we are going to have a nice long chat. Izuku chuckled. I'd rather die. Kyoka looked ahead. If you live, I might do it myself. Down at the plaza, Aizawa had lost. Even with his skills, he was no match for the Nomu. This was apparent by the fact that he was lying face down in a pool of his own blood. Grabbing his head, Nomu forced Aizawa's head up. Blood ran down the hero's face as he groaned in pain. Shigaraki smiled seeing this. The Nomu is even better than Master said he was going to be. As Shigaraki boasted, Kurojairi appeared beside him. Ah, Kurojairi, I assume the children won't be a problem anymore? 13 is down, and most of the students are scattered. However, they managed to fight back and one even escaped, explained Kurojairi. Shigaraki began to scratch his neck. What? You are lucky, Kurojairi. If it weren't for the fact that you are our way out, I would have killed you by now. Taking a moment, Shigaraki calmed down. Oh well, seems like it's game over, let's go. Tsuyu Ajui, a female student of Class 1A, and Mineta, a small short boy, floated in the lake just behind the villain. They could do nothing and watch as their homeroom teacher was beaten. Thinking they were undetected, they began to swim along the edge of the lake to try to get to safety. However, as they were, Shigaraki turned to them. If we can't kill All Might, we'll just kill as many students as we can. Faster than either student could react, Shigaraki appeared in front of them with his arm outstretched. Tsuyu's eyes widened. She had seen those very same hands disintegrate part of Aizawa's elbow. She could only imagine what it would do to her. But as Shigaraki grabbed her face, he noticed that nothing was happening. You really are cool, Eraserhead. Looking back, Shigaraki saw Aizawa looking at him with glowing red eyes. He had just erased his quirk. The Nomu grabbed Aizawa by the hair and slammed him back into the pavement, breaking more bones. Sorry kids, not even your teacher will be able to save you now, said Shigaraki as he once again reached for Tsuyu and Mineta. This time, however, Tsu and Mineta suddenly felt something wrap around their costumes. They then suddenly felt themselves being pulled away. Shigaraki's hand missed. Now what? He yelled out frustrated. Looking over to the left side of the lake, he noticed Momo had created 2 grapple guns. Handing one to Kyoka, they both managed to get their classmates out of harm's way. Pulling with all their might, the 2 managed to get them ashore. You 2 alright? Asked Kyoka. They both nodded. Thanks to you too, Ribbit, said Tsu as she untangled the wire around her chest. She then noticed Izuku leaning up against a rock. Who is he? Long story, right now we need to head towards the exit, said Momo. However, as they turned to leave, their path was blocked by the Noma. Kyoka looked up, horror filled her face. Ah crap. Noma! Kill them! Ordered Shigaraki. The Noma roared as it raised its massive fist. As it brought it down, Momo tried to create something to shield them, but she wouldn't make it in time. The 4 students braced for whatever was coming, but that's when Izuku sprung into action. Even though Venom wasn't surrounding him, Izuku jumped in front of the punch. He knew he couldn't stop it, but if he took the hit head-on, Izuku would help them. With a loud boom, the Noma's massive fist slammed against Izuku's entire right side. The hit rocked Izuku's body, shattering bones on impact. With blood flying out of his mouth as he flew, Izuku then slammed against a tree, forcing him to a complete stop. Kyoka couldn't believe it. Izuku! Running over to him, she couldn't believe what she was seeing. Laying on the floor motionless was Izuku, a broken, bleeding, and mangled mess. Some of the fingers of his hands were broken, his arm was snapped in 2, and his legs faced the wrong direction. Izuku, no, why the hell did you do that? Asked Kyoka as she panicked. I couldn't let him hurt you, said Izuku as he struggled to breathe. You have to run, go, run. But Kyoka shook her head. I'm not leaving you. How sweet, then you can both die together, said Shigaraki. Nomu, kill them both. Nodding, the Nomu began to walk towards Kyoka and Izuku. I'll leave now, repeated Izuku. But Kyoka refused to move, she was going to stay and fight. Moving her jacks towards her boots, she was about to plug them in when someone told her to stop. Don't! Sound is harmful to us, do not let out another sonic attack. The Noma was now in front of Kyoka. With its massive claws ready, it brought them down towards Kyoka. She closed her eyes and got ready for the pain, but to her surprise there was none. Instead, she heard the screeches of the Noma as it roared in pain. Opening her eyes, Kyoka noticed that it had black tendrils stabbed into its torso. Looking back at Izuku, she noticed that he was partially covered in a black goo. Izuku? Get behind me, said Izuku as he forced himself up. How are you standing? Asked Kyoka. Venom, he healed me, but not fully. Most of my body is still damaged, but I can move, and that's what matters. With half his face covered in venom, Izuku lifted his arm and flung the monster away from them. You won't touch her. Shigaraki couldn't believe it. A kid? Venom is just a kid. We aren't just a kid. No, we are Venom, said Izuku as half of his voice distorted into Venom's strength. With venom dripping from his body, Izuku stared down the Noma. You stay away from her. The Noma roared. Shigaraki laughed. Do you honestly think you can fight us? You're barely able to stand, how do you expect to fight? But since you acted so heroically, I'll give you a hero's death. Noma, kill him. With loud thumps, the Noma ran towards Izuku. Izuku, we should leave. We can't take on his monster right now, said Venom. Izuku gritted his teeth. Shut up! You're no longer in control, I am. And you will do as I say. With his partially covered arm, Izuku created a tendril that grabbed a rock from the mountain zone. Bringing it back, he smashed it against the Noma, but it did very little to slow him down. Raising its massive hand, the Noma took a swipe at Izuku. Thinking fast, Izuku concentrated venom on his legs and jumped back. Noma punched the ground hard enough for it to crack, which sent pieces of rock flying all over the place. Shit, all I can do is dodge. I can't get close enough. He then looked over at Shigaraki. If I can't take this thing down, I'll just have to take you out. While in mid-air, Izuku threw his arm forward and created a razor-sharp spike that headed towards Shigaraki. However, just as it was feet away from hitting, Noma caught up to the spike and grabbed it. Pulling on it, the Noma caused Izuku to be lifted off the ground and towards the creature. Plucking Izuku out of the air, The Nomu now had a hand around his neck. Good, very good Noma. Now kill him, ordered Shigaraki. The Nomu roared as it slowly began to squeeze Izuku. Feeling his internal organs smashing against each other, Izuku knew he needed to do something and fast. Creating a spike, Izuku stabbed the creature, but it wasn't letting go. That's when Izuku heard a crack coming from his ribs. Fuck! Kyoka watched in horror as the person she cared about was being squeezed to death. Damn it! Momo, I need those smoke bombs. Momo looked at her curiously. Why? No time! Just give me some! Ordered Kyoka. With Izuku, he no longer had the necessary air to scream. With blood running down the side of his mouth, Izuku smiled. Well, at least it took something that was meant to kill All Might to kill me. The Nomu roared as it was just about ready to finish Izuku off, when all of a sudden smoke bombs exploded around it. The monster looked around confused. Izuku was also confused, but it was clear what was going on when from the smoke a sonic blast hit them both. As the smoke cleared, Kyoka stood there with her jacks plugged into her boots. Sorry about this, Izuku, but this is going to hurt both of you. The sound wave was strong enough to cause the Nomu to loosen his grip on Izuku. Feeling this, and in extreme pain, Izuku managed to free himself. Falling to the floor, he was still being bombarded with the sound blast when someone came flying at him. Izuku's eyes widened as he noticed he was now being dragged in mid-air. Looking back, he noticed that it was someone with blonde hair. Landing on the ground, the person threw Izuku. You have a lot of explaining to do, Deku. Recognizing the voice, Izuku's eyes widened. Fuck off, I don't need to explain anything to you. Getting up, Izuku was now face to face with Bakugo, his old bully. Looks like you grew a pair, huh, Deku? Asked Bakugo as a small explosion rippled in his hands. Looks like you're still a dick, said Izuku. As he clenched his hand, Venom began to appear. However, before either one of them could do anything, Kyoka stepped between them. Hey! I don't know what the hell is going on between you two, and right now I really don't care. Why? Because of that giant monster. You want to fight, do it after we get out of here. That's when two other students joined them, Todoroki and Kirishima. Hey, who's the new kid? Asked Kirishima. Izuku blinked a couple of times. She's right, I don't have time to waste on you or your ego. If we want to live, we have to work together. Bakugo clicked his tongue. Fine, but after this you're going to explain everything. That's when the Nomu roared, turning everyone's attention back to it. Nomu, it's time to stop messing around. Kill the kids before the heroes arrive, and make it hurt. Venom is mine. With heavy steps, the Nomu ran towards the group. The others couldn't react in time, but Izuku could. Seeing that it was aiming for Kirishima, Izuku activated Venom and wrapped a tendril around the student's waist, pulling him away. Don't get sloppy, I'll slow it down. Once I do, you guys attack. But just as he put Kirishima down, Izuku saw something appear from the corner of his eye. Leaning back, Izuku managed to dodge Shigaraki's hand. Impressive, but the students won't even last a minute without your help. Izuku jumped back as Shigaraki took another swipe at him. Damn it! Without Venom fully functional, Izuku was relying on only a fraction of its powers. He couldn't take on both Shigaraki and the Nomu. Wake up, Venom! Wasting no time, Todoroki put a protective ice shield around them. His quirk gave him the ability to use ice and fire, but he rarely used his fire. Now what? Asked Kyoka, as the Nomu began to hit the ice. We need to think of something, said Kirishima. That's when Momo had a plan. Todoroki, how much more can your ice hold out? Not long, it keeps breaking it, explained Todoroki, as every time an ice wall would shatter he would put another up instantly. Let it in. We'll use this space to attack it. Once it gets inside Kirishima, Bakugo, use your quirks to distract it, said Momo as the Nomu shattered the final ice wall. However, the plan they had quickly fell apart when the creature moved faster than any of them could react. Getting up close, the Nomu grabbed Kirishima by the arm and flung him towards the ice. Kirishima already had his hardening quirk active, so he smashed right through and landed outside the ice shell. Todoroki tried to put another ice layer around them, but the Nomu simply smacked him across the face. Todoroki! Yelled Momo as she watched him slide to a stop. In a fit of rage, Momo activated her quirk. It would normally take some time to create something that was bigger than herself, but in that instance Momo created a large cannon. Pulling a string she fired which launched a massive cannonball at the monster. With a loud boom the ice surrounding them shattered as smoke filled the air. Izuku was jumping around when the smoke finally cleared. He smiled when he saw what had happened. Ha! Seems like that monster isn't so tough after all. Shigaraki turned to find the Noma with his arm missing. No! Noma! Momo, who was exhausted due to her quirk, fell to her knees. We win. However, as the students enjoyed their victory, Shigaraki smirked. Is that what you thought I'd say? Please, no one, not even All Might, can stop the Noma. That's when Izuku saw it. The Noma was regrowing its arm at an accelerated rate. Within a few seconds it had already grown back a new one. Momo was horrified. That's not possible. The Noma roared as it ran towards the cannon, and with one swing of its arm it shattered it into pieces, which were then sent flying at Momo, hitting her. Momo! Yelled Kyoka as she laid on the ground. Just then Bakugo appeared. Die! He yelled out as he fired a massive explosion above and at point-blank range. The area was filled with fire and smoke. Izuku shielded himself as he could feel the heat from the fireball from where he was. However, even before the smoke cleared, the Noma reached out and grabbed Bakugo out of the air before slamming him to the ground. Hitting the floor hard, Bakugo spit out a bit of blood when all of a sudden the Noma stomped down on Bakugo's chest. The ground underneath Bakugo began to crack from the impact of the Noma's foot. Izuku, who at the moment was barely able to dodge Shigaraki's hands, thanks to Kurojire's portals, it was getting increasingly difficult. But that's when he saw what happened. Well, he deserved that. However, his tone of voice quickly changed when the Noma kicked Bakugo away and began to walk towards Kyoka. No! Don't get distracted, said Shigaraki as a portal opened up underneath Izuku. Falling, Izuku looked down to see he was heading towards Shigaraki. Shit, leave me alone! Izuku yelled out as he created a black fist and extended it down, hitting Shigaraki in the face. Kyoka stood with her jacks at the ready as the massive beast rumbled towards her. Come Kyoka, you got this! She then looked around at her fallen classmates. Okay, maybe I don't got this. But before Kyoka could do anything, the Noma suddenly appeared in front of her. Taken by surprise, Kyoka tried to plug her jacks into her boots, but then the Noma grabbed her legs and picked her up. Now dangling upside down, the Noma reached out with his other hand and crushed the speakers. Kyoka screamed out in pain as the force was enough to reach her bones. Izuku's eyes widened. Kyoka! Leave her alone! Shigaraki saw Izuku's reaction. You must really care for that one. I wonder what would happen if she were to die right in front of you. Noma! Nodding, the Noma flung Kyoka into the air. Seeing this, Izuku ignored Shigaraki, ignored Kurojire, and ran towards Kyoka. Pulling Venom into his arm, Izuku used everything to create a tendril to get Kyoka out of harm's way. But it was too late. Throwing its razor-sharp claws forward, the Noma impaled Kyoka through the abdomen. No! Yelled Izuku. With the tendril finally reaching Kyoka, Izuku pulled her towards him before reshaping his arm and punching the Noma across the face, which sent him flying several feet. Sliding to a stop and with Kyoka in his arms, he looked at her to see blood running down 3 puncture wounds. No, 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 no! Please, just hold on, said Izuku as he tried to place pressure on the wounds. Wincing in pain, Kyoka looked at Izuku. Man, this hurts. She then began to cough out blood. Don't talk, save your strength, said Izuku as he looked around in a panic. There has to be something here I can use to help you. With her strength fading away, Kyoka reached out and touched Izuku's face. Well, there is one thing. Come here. Leaning in, Izuku's eyes widened when all of a sudden Kyoka kissed him on the lips. After a few seconds, Kyoka pulled away. She laughed slightly. I never kissed a guy before, it was nice. With those final words, Kyoka's hand fell to the floor. Kyoka, hey Kyoka, come on, please don't do this. Why you still have to teach me to play the guitar, right? Come on, wake up. Wake up, please, pleaded Izuku as tears ran down his face. As he grieved, Shigaraki's laugh filled the USJ. Ha 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 ha. See, this is what happens when you cross me, kid. She may have been the first, but she won't be the last. And the irony of it all is that without you here, she might have just survived. Meaning, her death is on your hands. In the streets people fear you, but in reality you're just some kid in a black suit. Izuku put Kyoka down gently, as he stood up as he stepped in a pool of her blood. "You're wrong," said Izuku with his back turned. "I'm not just some kid." That's when Shigaraki noticed something different about Izuku. "What are you saying?" As Izuku stood still, venom began to appear throughout his body. But not in the normal way. Instead of covering his body all in one go, the venom symbiote took a while and oozed his way up. Starting from his chest, it then reached his arms when it began to drip off his skin like melted ice cream. Instead of his normal hands once covered in venom, his hands turned to razor-sharp claws. Black sludge hit the floor underneath Izuku as venom now covered his body, leaving only the face left. "I am Venom! And I am going to kill you!" Looking up into the sky, Izuku let out a blood-curdling scream before turning into an animalistic roar as venom covered his face. That's when the Nomu appeared, recovered from the hit Izuku landed. It too roared as the two now faced down each other, but only one had pure unfiltered rage fueling them. The two titans ran at each other, but just as Izuku got in close, black spikes began to appear from his body. The spikes launched towards Noma and stabbed into the monster's body, then grabbing two of the tendrils he pulled it towards him. Flying through the air, the Nomu screeched in pain as Izuku transformed his arm into a spiked ball and hitting the Nomu across the face. Staggering backwards, the Nomu had no time to react when Izuku came in and began to punch the monster, over and over again. With each hit, black sludge would splatter across the floor, along with the Nomu's blood. "I'll rip you to shreds!" yelled Izuku, as he slashed down the Nomu's chest. However, with every cut Izuku made, the Nomu would simply heal. "You can't win," said Shigaraki. "Nomu has super regeneration and shock absorption. You'll get tired, Nomu won't. Eventually you'll slow down, and when you do, Nomu will kill you." The Nomu then decided it was time to fight back. Faster than Izuku could react, a large hand smacked him across the face. A loud boom was heard as Izuku went flying through several trees. Izuku sat up, rubbing his cheek. "Fuck! I need to find a way to kill him. But my attacks on his body won't work." However, before Izuku could think of a plan, the Nomu came in and drop-kicked Izuku to the ground. The cement floor caved in from the sheer impact. Now lying on the floor motionless, it seemed that the Nomu had won. "Good, very good, Noma. Now kill him. If we leave him alive, he could be a problem later," said Shigaraki. The Nomu nodded, and then grabbed Izuku with one arm, lifting him off the ground. With his head hanging, the Nomu then pulled back his claws. It was going to impale Izuku, just like it did with Kyoka. With a loud roar, the Nomu thrusted his hand forward. But just as it was about to end Izuku, it stopped. Shigaraki was stunned. "Noma! What are you doing? Kill him!" But the creature did nothing. That's when Kurojiri noticed what was going on. "Shigaraki, he's... Shigaraki moved to see what was going on. His eyes widened when he did. There, still in the monster's grip, Izuku was seen jamming his hand into the monster's mouth. "If I can't attack you from the outside, I'll just do it from inside," said Izuku as he began to invade Noma's body with venom. Still, the monster wouldn't go down without a fight. Running towards a wall, the Noma smashed into it, hoping that Izuku would fall off. He didn't, but thanks to his body invading technique, the venom mask over his head was fading, which led to him being vulnerable. As they slammed through trees, walls, and buildings, Izuku began to bleed from his head, but he still hung on. "Come on, die already!" It was coming down to a test of endurance. Could Izuku kill Noma before he loses consciousness? Or would Noma kill Izuku before he destroys his insides? After a few seconds of struggling, the Noma stopped. "Did the Noma do it?" asked Kurojiri. But the answer to that question would answer itself when all of a sudden the Noma began to shake violently. Then nothing, followed by the sound of popping. The Noma then fell to its knees as black venom began to spew out of every socket, crevice, ripping him all around his body. Now free from its grasp, Izuku too fell to one knee. That was exhausting," he said as his body was covered in bruises and cuts. Venom was now barely on Izuku's body. If it wasn't for that fact, he wouldn't be able to stand or stay conscious. "Why, you bastard!" yelled Shigaraki as he watched his master's creation defeated by the hands of his lowly street criminal. "You'll pay for what you've done!" Shigaraki was about to run at Izuku when all of a sudden the doors to the USJ exploded open. "Fear not, students, why? Because I am here!" Standing at the door and ripping his tie out was All Might, the #1 hero. Shit, it's All Might. We can't win Shigaraki, we have to retreat, suggested Kurojairi. No! Not until this one is dead! Shigaraki ran at Izuku, but before he could even get close, Kurojairi opened up a portal underneath his feet. I'm sorry, but the master has entrusted me with your safety. I won't let him down, said Kurojairi. Kurojairi, let me go! I won't rest until Venom is dead! Do you hear me, kid? I'm going to find you, and kill you with my own hands. Just you wait. With that, Shigaraki disappeared through the portal. With the danger now gone, Izuku breathed a sigh of relief. He then turned towards Momo, who now had Kyoka's head on her lap, crying. Limping his way towards them, he stopped just short. Kyoka, I'm so sorry. I couldn't save you. The girl is still alive, there's still time to save her, said Venom inside Izuku's head. Izuku's eyes widened. Venom! What do you mean? We can heal her, you can use us, but if we do that. But before Venom could explain further, Izuku interrupted. Do it! I don't care what happens as long as it saves her, said Izuku, causing Momo to jump. Very well. Izuku then kneeled down and touched Kyoka's cheek. You might want to step away for a second, Izuku said, looking at Momo. Momo was confused but saw that Izuku's eyes were filled with sympathy. She nodded and backed away. Can you really do it? Can you save her? That's when Venom appeared around Izuku's hand and began to slowly wrap around Kyoka's body. Izuku winced in pain as he felt everything that Kyoka was feeling. I don't know, but I will try. Seconds passed and Venom now covered Kyoka's body except her face. With his other hand, Izuku felt her skin go cold. It's not working. Why isn't it working? We are still far too weak, explained Venom. Then do something, yelled Izuku. However, in that instance he suddenly began to spit out blood. In order to save the girl, we must separate and fully bond with her. But to do that means you could die, said Venom. Izuku smirked. You are already killing me anyway, do it. But Venom refused. Your life is much too important to throw it away for the girl. That's when Izuku snapped. Shut up! You will do what I tell you! Her life is important to me, now do it! With no other recourse, Venom then shaped itself into what Momo could only describe as a violet-colored drape and covered Kyoka. But now that Venom left Izuku, the effects of battle and the damage Venom caused inside Izuku's body all began to hit him. With his vision blurry and his heart pounding, Izuku slumped over and got one last look at Kyoka before passing out with blood running down his injuries. Please, at least let her live. At the same time, All Might landed in the plaza to find Izuku on the floor passed out, and his students limping out of where they were thrown but alive. What happened here, and who is this kid? He asked himself. Later, All Might in his buff form walked down the halls of a hospital. He then arrived at a door with armed guards outside. All Might, sir, they are waiting for you. Nodding, the hero was allowed in. Once inside, he was then met by more armed guards, all pointing their guns at a door. It's all right now, guys, you can lower the weapons, said All Might as he walked past them. All Might, the others are already inside, said one of the officers. Nodding, All Might went into the next room, where he found the pro-heroes, Midnight and Present Mike, along with Niza sitting on the heroine's shoulder. All Might, how are the students? Asked Niza. Some are hurt, but they'll live thanks to Recovery Girl, explained All Might. Niza nodded. Good, now what are we going to do with him? Everyone turned to find Izuku on the wall. Chains were strapped to his arms and legs to prevent him from leaving. But fortunately for them, Izuku was still asleep. First we should find out who he is, Midnight said. Izuku Midoriya, age 14, quirk, none, said Recovery Girl as she read from her file. Just your normal high school kid. All Might narrowed his eyes. It really is him. He's the kid I met on the roof. I told him he couldn't be a hero. What about his parents, have they been informed? Asked Midnight. His mother is on her way here. It won't be long before she arrives, said Nizu. Now the question is, how did the villains get a hold of him? If what the students say is true, then this boy is Venom. That is a very good question. Once he wakes up, he will have a lot of stuff to answer for, said Present Mike. However, in that moment, Izuku suddenly snapped his eyes open and began to thrash around violently. Kyoka! He yelled out as he pulled against the chains around his wrists. The heroes flinched but knew that the chains would hold him, However, their confidence wavered when black strings began to appear around Izuku's arms. "Shit! Hold him down," said President Mike. The three heroes ran at Izuku, but before they could even get close, a black tendril appeared and knocked them all back. "Damn it!" said Midnight. "Where is KYKA?" yelled Izuku as cracks on the metal chains began to appear. "He's going to break free!" yelled out All Might as the chain around Izuku's left arm shattered. Thinking fast, All Might rushed Izuku, pinning his arm back onto the bed. "Easy, kid, we aren't going to hurt you." But Izuku wasn't listening. Grunting and straining, Venom appeared around Izuku's arm. That's when All Might could feel his arm being pushed back. He's strong. Just when Izuku was about to push All Might off, the hero pushed back, pushing Izuku back onto the bed. "Young Midoriya, it's alright, you're safe. Young Jiro is also fine, she's in this hospital too." Hearing this, Izuku's eyes widened. He then began to calm down. "I want to see her." "Sorry, but that won't be possible," said Nizu as he walked towards Izuku. "We have a few questions we want answered. Let's start with, how did you join the villains that attacked the USJ?" Izuku relaxed. "By chance, they gave me some useful information and I owed them. But I didn't know that they would be attacking UA students." Nizu looked up to see a green light flash. "I see, so you were tricked. Alright, then answer this, how did you get this power? Your file says you are quirkless?" Izuku stayed silent for a second. "I suddenly manifested it." Once again Nizu looked up, but this time a red light flashed. "Want to try again? Thanks to your encounters with Eraserhead and All Might, we have a suspicion that your quirk is not actually a quirk. So I'll ask again, how did you get your powers?" The heroes waited for a response, but instead they heard Izuku laughing. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you. But I must thank you for telling me that Kyoka is here." Looking up, All Might was surprised to see that Izuku's face changed into that of Venom's. "We can finally find her." Showing his teeth, Venom roared in the face of the number one hero. Now, with Venom completely covering his body, Izuku snapped the chains off of his arms and legs. All Might tried to hold him, but suddenly felt something dig into his side. Looking down, All Might was surprised to see a spike going through his ribs, right where his weak point was. The hero staggered back as Venom pulled his spike free. "Sorry, All Might, but that one was personal." Knocking All Might over, Izuku jumped toward the other two heroes. Grabbing their faces, he slammed them against the floor, leaving only Nizu and Recovery Girl. "Where is Kyoka?" asked Izuku as he towered over the mouse/bear. Being an animal, Nizu could tell when a predator was near him, and Venom was just that, a predator. "In the recovery wing, room 267, said Nizu. Izuku nodded. "Thank you for your cooperation." However, just as Izuku was about to go and take on the guard outside, he heard Recovery Girl's voice. "Wait. I don't know where or how you got those powers. But before I got here, your organs were in tatters, almost as if they were being eaten from the inside out." Izuku stopped but didn't even turn around. "I know." With that, Izuku jumped toward the door, taking the officers by surprise. One by one, Izuku took them down, in non-lethal ways now that Venom was not in control, for now. Finally taking them all down, Izuku jumped on all fours through the hospital. Breaking the floor as he went, Izuku jumped from floor to ceiling, and even the sides of the wall. He then found himself in the recovery wing. Scanning the door numbers as he ran by, he finally came across room 267. Opening the door, he walked in to see Kyoka sitting up on the bed in a medical gown and looking out the window. "Kyoka," he said, happy to see her alive. Turning, Kyoka saw Venom standing there. "Izuku, or should I call you Venom instead?" Izuku let Venom retract into his body. "It's me, Kyoka, it's Izuku." Kyoka smiled. "I thought so." Without warning, Izuku went to hug Kyoka. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for all of that to happen." Kyoka, surprised, returned the hug. "You idiot." After a few more moments, the two finally let go of each other. "So when were you going to tell me that you are Venom?" asked Kyoka. Izuku chuckled. "I wasn't really planning on telling you." "I see, so I'll ask this." Kyoka's voice turned serious. "Are you a villain?" Izuku stopped and took a minute to think about that question. He then turned and looked Kyoka in the eyes. "I'm not, but I'm also not a hero. We are Venom." Kyoka sighed. "Why does it have to be complicated? Anyway, care to explain how I'm still alive?" I was stabbed in the abdomen, I should be dead. That's when Izuku put up his hand, letting Venom cover it. Honestly, I don't know, I just sort of trusted Venom on it. Though we did have to separate for a while to heal you. Kyoka thought back, and the last thing she could remember was pain, a pain on her abdomen. Then a strange warm feeling surrounded her, it almost felt like a kotatsu. And then a voice. Kyokajiro, you will not die today. If you do, he will be devastated. So live. When she woke up, she noticed that she was in a hospital bed. Kyoka touched her abdomen and felt no pain. What's going on? You're safe now, Miss Jiro, said Nizu, walking into the room with all might. What happened? The USJ, is the class all right? Asked Kyoka, concerned. All Might smiled. Everyone is fine, just a few broken bones and cuts, but nothing recovery girl can't fix. Kyoka nodded. That's good. What about Venom? Where is he? Nizu and All Might looked at each other. He's here in a secure location of the hospital. He hasn't woken up yet. I see, responded Kyoka with sadness in her voice. That's when All Might walked up to the bed. We need to know, how do you know Venom? I don't, answered Kyoka. You don't have to lie, your classmates have already told us everything. All we want to know is who and why Midoriya did what he did, said Nizu. Kyoka sighed. Alright, I'll tell you. Back in the present, Kyoka looked at Izuku. And that's all I remember. I see, sorry for keeping it from you. I just thought if you knew, you'd just leave me, said Izuku. Izuku, come here, said Jiro, motioning him to get closer. Confused, Izuku did what he was told. He was just within reach when Kyoka slapped him. Izuku's head whiplashed to the side. Oh wow. That was for attacking my class. You may have not known who you were attacking, but you should have been better. Izuku looked away in shame, but just then he felt something else on his face. It wasn't another slap, but rather the calm, gentle hand of Kyoka. And this is for saving me. Pulling on his face, Kyoka brought their lips together. Izuku's eyes widened for a second as he processed what just happened. A few more seconds passed, and the two then pulled away. What followed was dead silence. Kyoka. But before Izuku could say anything else, Kyoka put her jacks to his face. Shut up. Izuku smiled as he saw Kyoka blushing red. You're cute when you blush. That only caused Kyoka to blush harder. I told you to shut up. I know. Izuku then grabbed Kyoka's hand. But as they shared this moment, it was interrupted when Venom appeared from Izuku's back. Sorry to break this up, but we have a problem. Kyoka jumped at the sight of Venom. What the hell is that? Oh right, Kyoka, meet Venom, said Izuku. Venom, meet Kyoka. Venom growled. I know who she is, we were bonded for a short while, remember? Kyoka blinked a few times. Wait, I thought you were Venom? And isn't that your quirk? Oh right, well yes and no. This little leech that is munching on me is named Venom. And technically I don't have a quirk, I wasn't born with one, explained Izuku. Hey! I am not a leech, said Venom angrily. If he's not a quirk, and you're not Venom, what is he? Asked Kyoka. I'll explain later, but first, Venom, what's the problem? Asked Izuku. There are several men with weapons headed this way. What are we going to do? Asked Venom. Can I eat them? No, not this time, said Izuku. He then turned to Kyoka. We are turning ourselves in. Let's see what they do with us. What? No! You cannot do this! Yelled Venom. They will take you away from us. But that's when Izuku snapped. Shut up! Every second I spend with you is just another moment of my life that I suffer. Do you honestly believe that I would still want to be with you after I found out that you are eating me? Venom stayed silent. Right now I have control over you, and after we turn ourselves in, we are done forever. The door to the room suddenly burst open and armed men quickly all pointed their weapons at Izuku. Putting his hands up Izuku's side. I give up. Kyoka was surprised. Izuku, wait. But as one of the officers came in and put his hands behind his back, Izuku smiled. It's alright, Kyoka, I'll be fine. Sorry you had to fall in love with a terrible person. Goodbye. With that, Kyoka watched as they escorted Izuku out of the room. But she wouldn't let them. Barefoot Kyoka tried to go after him, but was stopped right outside the door when someone placed a hand on her shoulder. Looking over, Kyoka noticed that it was All Might. I'm sorry, young Jiro, but you can't. Kyoka looked at the number 1 hero. But he saved me, saved the class. You can't let them just take him away. However, All Might could only shake his head. I'm sorry. But as they walked the halls of the hospital and towards an armored car, someone was watching him. The person pulled out their phone. We then got the image of a desk and a phone ringing. Kenshin turned his chair and picked up the phone. You better have a good reason for calling me, daughter. Standing in a corner of the hospital, Momo stood with her black eyes locked on Izuku. I found it. Kenshin stood up. Are you sure? Momo nodded. I saw it with my own eyes, the boy he has it. In his office, Kenshin smiled. Very good, daughter. Where are they taking him? The police station, answered Momo. You've exceeded my expectations. I'll be there in an hour, said Kenshin. There's something else. Momo stopped mid-sentence. Yes, what is it? asked Kenshin. Momo watched as Kyoka walked down the hall with All Might. It's nothing. With that, Kenshin hung up the phone and went to go down to the station, and Momo was left to think about what she just did. Forever. With several armed SWAT officers pointing their guns at Izuku's back and his hands cuffed with special handcuffs, the young boy was taken to an interrogation room. I don't see any logic in your actions, Izuku. We should just break out of here and deal with everything later, suggested Venom. But Izuku wouldn't have any of it. I told you to shut up, didn't I? I want you out of my body for good. Izuku was then seated on a chair and cuffed to the table. He was told to wait, and if he did anything that the guards would rush in and shoot him. Well, this is a fine mess I got myself into. Now everyone knows that I'm Venom. Izuku sighed as he waited for someone to walk in. After a few minutes, Naomasa, along with All Might. So this is Venom, huh? It looks like you were telling the truth, old friend, said Naomasa. I wish I was wrong, though, to think Venom would actually be this young, said All Might. Naomasa nodded and took a seat across Izuku. It's nice to finally meet you, Venom, or should I call you Izuku Midoriya? Izuku stayed silent. It says here that you are quirkless, but given your past encounters with All Might and most recently the USJ, it's safe to say that you do have a quirk. Izuku stayed silent again. He kept looking over at All Might, who couldn't even look at Izuku. What's wrong, All Might? Afraid to look at me? All Might turned and faced Izuku. Oh, I see, it's not fear that you have, rather it's shame, isn't? Now it was All Might's turn to stay silent. Do you even remember me? I do, responded All Might. And do you remember what you told me? asked Izuku. All Might didn't want to respond. Izuku smirked at that. All I wanted was for at least some hope. After years of being called useless, if I could get the number 1 hero to believe in me, then there would still be hope. But no, you shattered that hope, and told me I couldn't be a hero. That's when Izuku's face transformed into venom, scaring both men. The clicking of guns were heard from the wall. Izuku calmed down and let Venom recede back. Sorry about that, I got a bit carried away. Naomasa fixed his hat. It's fine, so how did you come to possess this power? I found it, answered Izuku. Unknown to Izuku, Naomasa had a quirk that could tell if someone was lying. True, interesting. Are you and Venom two separate people? asked Naomasa. No, unfortunately we are one and the same now, answered Izuku. Naomasa wrote everything down. Can you separate from each other? We can, but according to Venom our bond is strong and it would be a shame to separate, explained Izuku. Do you want to separate from Venom? asked Naomasa. Izuku took a second and nodded. Yes, I recently found out that Venom is a leech. It's feeding off of me and killing me. No. I can fix you, said Venom. Let's leave and I can heal you. All Might then noticed how Izuku began to mutter. He's talking to you right now, isn't he? Izuku nodded. Yeah, every day, every minute, every second. I could even feel him moving around inside me sometimes. While it seems that you willingly didn't bond with Venom, you did go along with all the killings. While we sympathize, you must answer for your crimes, explained Naomasa. Yeah, I know. But it doesn't matter, I just want Venom out of me, said Izuku. The three then talked about Venom, who or rather what he was and why sound hurts him. But as Izuku was explaining, someone came in bursting through the doors. A tall man wearing a 3-piece suit appeared holding a briefcase. Who the hell are you? asked Naomasa. My name is not important. What is that? I am a YKC representative. And I am here to take this boy with us for immediate extraction of the symbiote. Which, if I may add, belongs to us. The representative then reached into his pocket and pulled out a piece of paper. That is a court order stating that our property shall be returned and the boy will be placed under our custody. Thank you, gentlemen, but we'll take it from here. Izuku was surprised. Kenshin. You can't just take him. He just killed several people, protested All Might. We can and we will. Snapping his fingers, White Sea tactical members appeared with guns. We will be going now. You may have the boy once we have taken the specimen from him. With that, Izuku was once again led out of the room and placed into a transport truck. A few minutes later they arrived at one of White Sea's warehouses. Going inside, Izuku looked around to find it was empty. Wow, do you guys have budget cuts or something? Mocked Izuku. However, that's when one of them came up to Izuku and hit him with the butt of his rifle so hard that he knocked Izuku out. Reawakening, Izuku found himself shackled from his arms and legs up against a wall. He also noticed that they were in a holding cell. What the? My, hello again, Venom. Or should I say Midoriya? Walking towards him was Kenshin. Look at you, from what I heard you took down several villains and one was strong enough to take down All Might. How did you do it? Izuku spat towards the direction of Kenshin. I see, well, not like it matters anyway. Guess you should have taken my deal, right? Oh well, you win some, you lose some. Now to why we brought you here. Dr. Yes, well, you see, we can't exactly remove Venom from his body. Kenshin's eyes bulged. At least not yet, sir. We are currently working on a chemical that will separate the two. How long will that take? Asked Kenshin. About a week, sir, explained the doctor. A week? Not good enough, we need to move faster. Everything is banking on if we can get Venom out of this kid, said Kenshin. You have 3 days, that's as long as we can keep him in our custody. I heard physical trauma will do the trick, see what you can do with that. Oh, and throw him in with the other one. This is not what Izuku wanted. He wanted to get rid of Venom but be tortured. On second thought, we are getting the hell out of here. However, just as he was about to activate Venom, a device was placed around his neck that emitted a high-pitched frequency. Izuku screamed out in pain as the sound coursed through his body. Oh, did I forget to mention, you won't be able to escape. Your first mistake was actually believing we would help you. With that, Kenshin walked out of the room as Izuku continued to scream. With Kyoka. After being fully healed, Kyoka was picked up by her parents and taken home. The car ride was silent. Her parents heard on the news that Venom was there, and who he actually was. Once home, Kyoka went upstairs. Mika tried to talk to her, but Kyoka simply went upstairs. Let her go, she needs time to think, said Kyotaku. Mika nodded. I can only imagine what's going on through her head. To find out the person you like was lying to you. Throwing her stuff onto the floor, Kyoka went straight to her bed. Plopping onto it, she grabbed the pillow and held it tight. I don't know if I should be mad, happy, sad, or a combination of all three. She then thought back to when she kissed Izuku. Even thinking about it caused Kyoka to blush. Why did I do that? However, that's when it hit her. She quickly got up from her bed. No, now is not the time for this. Izuku is Venom, and he's killed people. But I already sort of knew, I don't know what to think. Throwing the pillow at the wall, Kyoka laid down. I wonder if I could see him. As she laid in bed, something on her shirt suddenly began to move. Later that night, Izuku's screams still echoed throughout the area as they continued to activate the sound. After hours of this, the men working on him were tired. He's a tough son of a bitch, I'll give him that. Come on, let's put him in the cage. One of the men grabbed Izuku and began to drag him away. After a short walk, Izuku was thrown into a barred cell. The cell was squared and had metal iron bars on every side. The men walked away as Izuku slowly sat up. Man, that hurt, Izuku said. I get the feeling things are just going to get worse from here. Oh, you have no idea, said a voice from the other side of the bars. Izuku turned his head and could barely make out something in the darkness. Izuku narrowed his eyes. Who are you? That's when a pair of golden yellow eyes pierced the darkness. My name is Toga. Appearing from the dark was a girl with blonde hair and who had on a medical gown. What's your name? Izuku Midoriya. That's when Izuku noticed the blood on Toga's body. What happened to you? Toga looked at herself as if she didn't know. She then gave a big smile, revealing the two fangs. Oh, don't worry about that. It's not my blood anyway. Not your blood? Izuku was now rightfully scared. Hey, you want to hear a secret? Come here and I'll tell you, said Toga as she signaled for Izuku to get closer. Every fiber of his being was telling him not, but somehow Izuku found himself being pulled in by her eyes. Now sitting on the floor and near enough to see each other, Izuku began to feel sick. Toga let out a giggle. You're pretty cute, much better than the last one. But if you want to know the secret, you'll have to come closer. Izuku inched his way closer. More, instructed Toga. More. Now almost touching the bars, Izuku was suddenly stabbed with a makeshift shiv across the top of his hand. Fuck! Yelled Izuku as blood now dripped from his hand. He tried to pull it away, but that's when Toga reached out and grabbed him. Pulling his arms, she managed to lick some of the blood from his hand. What the fuck? With all his might, Izuku yanked his hand free as Toga drank some of his blood. With blood around her lips, Toga blushed as her body quivered. Oh yes! Yes, yes, yes! This is what I've been looking for. Your blood is so sweet. Give me more! I want more! Toga tried to reach for Izuku again, but he was now far enough to where she couldn't reach him. You're one crazy bitch, aren't you? I'm not crazy! I'm in love with you, Izuku! Oh, but you'll look so much better with more blood, said Toga as she pressed her face against the metal bars and smiled wide. The next day, Izuku wasn't able to sleep. Toga kept nagging him about getting his blood. Now morning, a group of Kenshin's men grabbed Izuku out of his cage and threw him onto a surgical chair. They strapped him in and tightened the restraints. That's when a man wearing a lab coat walked in. You know there are rules doctors have to follow. One of them is to never cause harm to a human being. Unfortunately for you, the thing living inside you isn't human, so that rule doesn't apply. So I am free to do what I want with you in order to get to it. Izuku's eyes widened as he watched the doctor reach for a scalpel. I'm going to cut you open until I find out where that thing is inside you, said the doctor as he walked over to Izuku. A few hours later, blood painted the floor as Izuku slumped forward on the chair. Blood dripped down his hands and legs as he sat there motionless. Well, that does it for the muscular system. Time to move on to the nervous system. Stop, please, begged Izuku as his breathing was heavy. Sorry, but I have orders. Unless you can give us Venom now, we can't let you go, said the doctor. He can't do it, said Kenshin, walking into the room. Once the perfect host is found, they can't separate under any circumstance. Izuku slowly raised his head to see Kenshin walking over to him. Never separate? He doesn't know I separate from Venom to save Kyoka. Any progress, doctor? Asked Kenshin. No, sorry. This one is troublesome, explained the doctor. I see. Kenshin then turned his attention to Izuku. Come now, kid, it's not too late to accept my offer. Tell you what, you can even work for me if you like. I'll pay you handsomely. Izuku stayed silent before ultimately spitting at Kenshin's face. Why, you little... Pulling his fist back, Kenshin punched Izuku in the stomach. That was just rude. Someone should teach you some manners. That's when Kenshin thought of something. You know, your cellmate has been talking a lot about your blood and how it tastes. And we do need blood samples, let's have her do it. Izuku narrowed his eyes. Fuck you. Kenshin smiled. Yes, let's do that. Take him away and throw him in with her. The guards nodded and began to drag Izuku away once again. Kenshin turned. Call me if there are any changes. The doctor nodded. Good, I'll be in my office. As Kenshin walked out of the facility, he looked around to see the area surrounded by buildings. They were in an industrial part of the city. After a drive, Kenshin arrived at HQ and went up to his floor. Now in his office, Kenshin went to sit down. What a nightmare! We need that symbiote in order to please the shareholders. As he swiveled on his chair, he suddenly got a call from the front desk. Mr. Yoyorozu, your daughter is here to see you. Momo? Asked Kenshin, confused. Oh, that's right, I told her to arrive. Very well, send her in. The door to his office swung open as Momo walked in, taking a few steps before she stopped in front of Kenshin's desk. Father. Daughter, I assume you thought of something you'd like? I did say you deserve a reward. So what will it be? Asked Kenshin. Momo thought about it. In the future, I would like to have some friends over to the house. Kenshin leaned on his desk, his elbows hitting the top. Oh, and for what purpose? To study, explained Momo. Working in groups can significantly improve my grades and help those who need it. Besides, they are my friends. Kenshin hummed. I see, very well. You and your friends may use the house to study at a later date. Momo bowed and nodded. Thank you, father. With that, Momo turned and began heading towards the door but stopped short. Actually, I have a question. The boy, the one with the symbiote, how is he doing? Kenshin smiled. He's being treated at one of our labs, and we are actively trying to extract the parasite from him. That reminds me, Good woke up on telling us who it was. You did good, daughter, remember that. Yes, thank you, father. I will be taking my leave now. With that, Momo walked out of the room. Walking towards the elevator button, she clicked it, and with a ding the doors opened up. Walking in, she felt the elevator moved. He's not helping him at all. Father must be torturing him in order to separate them. 2 days since the attack. It was now nighttime and Kyoka wasn't feeling well. Her body was on fire, and it felt as if her heart was going to beat out of her chest. Laying in bed, she tossed and turned. What's happening to me? She asked herself. Kyoka tried to call out to her parents, but no words came out. She then managed to get to her feet and stumble her way towards the door. Her vision was blurry and her equilibrium was off. Kyoka tried to reach out for the doorknob but instead found herself falling. With a thud, Kyoka hit the floor. Her breathing was now erratic and her chest rose in an uneven beat. I am scared, Izuku, help! However, as she closed her eyes, Kyoka suddenly heard a voice. There's no need to panic, we are here. Snapping her eyes open, Kyoka couldn't believe it. There's no way. That's when a black substance appeared from Kyoka and began to cover her completely. The last part to be covered was her eyes. We need your help, Kyoka. With that, a black goo completely surrounded her. Standing up and hitting the ceiling, Kyoka stood with Venom covering her. Looking at her hands, the two now bonded and let out a roar. Kyoka's parents, who were downstairs, felt as the entire house began to shake, followed by the roar. The two quickly ran up the stairs, but as they were, a loud boom was heard. Making it to Kyoka's room, they noticed that their daughter was gone. Kyoka, where is she? Asked Mika. Kyoka looked at the destroyed room. I don't know. Jumping from building to building was a dark shadow, landing on the roof of one. The creature rolled before jumping once again. Latching itself to the side of a building, it began to climb until it reached the top. With one powerful jump, the creature jumped from said roof. That's when a spotlight passed them. There in the air was Kyoka, covered in venom. Her design was completely different from Izuku's. She still had the large, narrow white eyes, but she also had some extra stuff. 2 punk rock bracelets had appeared around her wrists, with large black spikes coming out of them. She also had what appeared to be a belt and shoulder pads, also with black spikes around them. But the most surprising thing was her earphone jacks. They were also completely covered, but the ends were turned into small blades. And I took the design from Blue Wolf Artista on DeviantArt. You need to check it out, it looks awesome. As Kyoka dived off the roof, she had to ask. How? How are you with me and not Izuku? Izuku and I separated in order to save you. We were going to bond again, but that's when we noticed something. Your classmate, the one called Momo. She is the daughter of Kenshin. That man has been trying to get his hands on me since he lost me. That's when Izuku came up with a plan in order to get to him, explained Venom. Kyoka put 2 and 2 together. You guys faked wanting to separate, and Izuku allowed himself to be taken into custody. He knew Momo would tell her father and come for him. Yes, confirmed Venom. Wait, but Izuku said you were killing him. You were eating him from the inside out, weren't you? Asked Kyoka. Wait, are you doing that to me now? No, while it is true that I eat organs and such, I never once touched Izuku. Our bond was too great for that. Besides, I could heal him whenever I wanted. The same goes for you. While our bond isn't the best, I can control myself, explained Venom. Izuku doesn't know that, does he? Venom stayed quiet. Why not tell him? He thinks you're killing him. Control, said Venom. The more he thought we were harming him, the more we could control him. I didn't want him to leave us, so we lied, making it seem that if he left us, he would die. Kyoka was surprised. You manipulative piece of shit. Izuku trusted you, you gave him power after no one, Not even All Might believed in him. She then noticed something. Wait, how do I know that? It's because we bonded. I retained my previous host's memories and emotions. What Izuku has seen and knows you now know, explained Venom. Landing on top of a train station, Kyoka now had to ask, where are we going? To save Izuku. Right now he is being tortured by Kenshin in one of their warehouses, said Venom as he stood looking at the lights. What? Let's go. And why did you take so long to bond with me? We could have saved Izuku yesterday, said Kyoka. We couldn't, thanks to your quirk. The bonding process was much more difficult. Besides, we were still weak from the USJ. But now we are healed up, just don't use your quirk. It really is deadly to us, explained Venom. Kyoka agreed. Fine, alright, let's go save Izuku. Where to? His location is just a few miles from here. But we must hurry, right now only a tiny bit of me is inside Izuku. Once they find out I am not with him. That's when Kyoka finished that sentence. They will kill him. Kyoka steadied herself. Alright, let's go. Fair warning, things can get ugly, said Venom as they jumped onto a moving train. Underneath the Venom suit, Kyoka smiled. I can handle ugly. With Izuku sitting in an empty room and chained to a chair, Izuku waited. Toga was being brought over to his location for another torture session. Last chance, Izuku, give me the symbiote and this can all end, said Kenshin over the intercom. Izuku smirked. You want it? You'll have to try harder than this. Don't worry, we will. Come on, Izuku, don't be stupid, you don't have to go through this. Just give Venom up and we'll let you go, said Kenshin. You want Venom? Alright, fine, here, have him. That's when a black ooze leaked out of Izuku's mouth and hit the floor. The black blob thrashed around before falling over. Oops, guess it died. Kenshin couldn't believe it. You don't have the symbiote? Then who does? That's when the door to the room opened up and in walked Toga. Hey, don't be so rough on me. Change of plans, Toga. You are free to do what you want with him, but make sure he tells you where the symbiote is, ordered Kenshin. Symbiote? What the heck is that? She asked. Whatever, as long as I can get some blood, it doesn't matter. That's when from the ground a pedestal appeared with several knives and surgical scalpels. Use those and make sure it hurts, said Kenshin. Toga smiled, showing off her fangs. With pleasure. Grabbing one of the knives, Toga began to walk towards Izuku. Since he was tied to a chair, Toga sat on his lap. Toga then slid the knife across Izuku's cheek. I'm going to love this. With a quick movement, Toga slashed across his face enough to draw blood. Toga's body shivered at the sight, leaning and she blushed as the aroma of his blood hit her. Yes! This is what I've been wanting for so long. Now, Izuku! Give it to me now! She yelled out, raising the knife high into the air. However, just as she was about to stab into Izuku, a loud siren was heard blaring through the building. Kenshin looked around. What is going on? Sir, someone has breached the perimeter. One of his men came over the intercom. Oh God, they are killing us all! Kenshin slammed the desk. Who is it? The man on the line fired his gun. Die already! Sir, it's V. That's when a loud crunching noise was heard, followed by radio static. Alpha 1, do you copy? Asked Kenshin. Alpha 2? Anyone? What the hell is going on? In the room, Izuku began to laugh. Man, this is really great. To think you all fell for that. What do you mean? Asked Kenshin. Izuku turned towards the glass. You still haven't figured it out? If Venom isn't with me, where do you think he is? Kenshin stood upright. And no. Yes, said Izuku as the entire room began to shake violently. Toga looked around, but before she could even move, the wall to the room imploded. Izuku ducked as pieces of the wall flew past him. Toga, however, wasn't that lucky. The force of the wall being knocked down was enough to send her flying. Slamming against the wall, Toga struggled to get up. What was that? Smoke and dust filled the room. The wall in front of Izuku was now destroyed. From it a tall figure appeared. Hey Izuku, miss me? Izuku smiled at the sight of Kyoka. I am both very happy to see you and slightly turned on by the sight of you. Is that weird? I think that's weird. Walking towards Izuku, Kyoka's earphone spikes launched themselves towards the glass. With little effort the glass shattered and went through, stabbing into Kenshin's shoulders. As they dug into him, his body was picked up and pinned against the wall. It turned out that Kenshin was about to press a button that activated a high-pitched screech in the room. "You stay right where you are. We'll deal with you later." Pulling her jacks free, Kyoka then turned her attention back to Izuku, but as he looked his way, a knife suddenly appeared and slashed her neck. Kyoka's head whipped back as her symbiote opened up on her neck. Toga landed on the ground with her knife in front of her. "Izuku is mine. I won't let you take him." Pulling her head back, Toga watched the wound on Kyoka heal. "Yours? Izuku isn't yours, he's mine." Throwing her arm forward, Kyoka grabbed Toga tight. She tried to break free, but right now Kyoka was too strong. "Let me go!" Kyoka then smiled, showing her razor-sharp teeth. "Okay." Kyoka then threw Toga towards the wall. With a loud thud, Toga smacked into the wall near the hole, causing part of the wall to fall on top of her. Blood then ran out from underneath the pile. "Now that there are no more interruptions, I believe it's time to leave." Reaching down, Kyoka grabbed the restraints and snapped them with ease. "Thanks, Kyoka." Izuku tried to stand up but found that his body was too damaged. Izuku fell forward, but before he could hit the ground, Kyoka caught him. "I got you. Guess it's my turn now to save you." "I guess it is," said Izuku as Kyoka picked him up and carried him princess style. "Okay, this is embarrassing." They walked towards the hole in the wall, but as Kyoka walked past a piece of metal rebar that was sticking out, managed to snag and rip a piece off the symbiote. The black sludge then landed onto the pool of blood that belonged to Toga. With alarms and lights blaring out in the compound, the black sludge suddenly twitched. Outside, Kyoka had taken Izuku away from that god-awful place. After a good while of running, they found themselves back on the beach, the one covered in trash. Finding an old sofa that was on an incline, Kyoka gently put Izuku on it. Izuku groaned in pain as he finally relaxed. "Thanks, Kyoka." That's when Venom retracted from Kyoka's face. "You idiot, I thought I wasn't ever going to see you again." "Sorry for making you worry, Kyoka, and sorry for lying to you. But Kenshin needs to be stopped," said Izuku. "Don't worry, he won't be able to come after you for a while." "That goes for you too, Venom," said Kyoka. "Really? Why?" asked Izuku, confused. Kyoka smirked. "We sort of destroyed all of his hard drives and erased all mentions of you or Venom from his servers." Izuku smiled. "That's my girl. If you two are done, I'd like to go back into a more compatible person," said Venom, appearing behind Kyoka. "He's really annoying, isn't he?" joked Kyoka. Izuku laughed. "Tell me about it. So you ready?" Nodding, Kyoka then leaned in and kissed Izuku on the lips. As their lips met, Venom began to move from Kyoka back to Izuku. After a few seconds, the transfer was complete, and the two pulled away. "Was kissing the only way of doing that?" asked Izuku. "No, but it was the option I chose. So deal with it," said Kyoka. Now back with Izuku, Venom went to work on healing his wounds. "Kenshin really did a number on you, huh? Not to mention that crazy girl," said Venom. Izuku shivered. "Don't remind me, that girl was crazy. She was all about blood, she even drank some of mine. Apparently she fell in love with me." Kyoka's eyes widened. "What? Man, I should have done more to her." "Kyoka, relax, there's no need to go around killing her," explained Izuku. "Besides, I doubt we'll see her again. In the meantime, we should get you home." Kyoka then watched as Izuku got up from the bed, now fully healed. "Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Venom sort of destroyed my wall when we bonded." "He did what now?" asked Izuku. "Venom, is this true?" Appearing from his shoulder, Venom looked like a sad puppy. "Yes, but it wasn't on purpose. The bonding process was much more difficult. It was painful for her, but I tried to make it not so." Izuku sighed. "I don't really get it, but you should apologize. And don't worry about the organ eating, I know you can heal me." Nodding, Venom turned to Kyoka. "Sorry, it won't happen again." "Yeah, let's keep it that way. It felt kind of wrong having you inside me," said Kyoka. "Well, what's done is done. Let's go home." With that, Venom appeared around Izuku. "Let's go." Nodding, Kyoka jumped into Izuku's arms, and the two took off into the night. A few minutes later, the two arrived at Kyoka's house. Retracting Venom, Izuku landed in front of the house. "And here we are." He then saw the pile of debris on the side of the house. I see what you meant. Yeah, man, after tonight I'll sleep like a log, said Kyoka as she yawned. But as they walked towards the door, Venom and Izuku suddenly sensed something. Izuku! Quickly turning around, Izuku transformed and outstretched his arm in front of Kyoka. Kyoka, get behind me! Not knowing what was going on, Kyoka looked around frantically. What is it, Kenshin? Izuku shook his head. It's worse. That's when something suddenly came crashing down in front of them. As the smoke cleared, a man similar size to Venom appeared. Easy, kid, we don't want to fight, said a loud booming voice. Then what do you want, All Might? Asked Izuku. The dust settled, revealing the number 1 hero standing there. Izuku flexed his arms, causing spikes to appear, ready to fight. Like All Might said, we want to talk, said a small voice. There, sitting on All Might's shoulder, was Nizu. So what do you say? Want to talk, or do you want to punch your way out? Izuku knew he could defeat All Might if he played his cards right. But with Kyoka next to him, and the fact that they were inside a neighborhood, Izuku ultimately decided to talk things out. Okay then, tell me. Nizu hopped off All Might's shoulders. Well, it's more of a proposition. How would you like not spending a day in jail? Deal? Izuku now stood in front of Yue with All Might standing behind him. It was your dream to come here, right? Asked All Might. Izuku turned to All Might. It was. But that was before you crushed my dreams. All Might frowned. I know what I did to you was terrible and I shouldn't have said it. But please let me make it up to you. If you feel bad now, then you shouldn't have said it before. The only reason why I'm here and not leaving is because of Kyoka, so be thankful for her, said Izuku. The night before, Izuku was able to go back home, much to the police's protest. That is, until they found out that Nizu talked to the police chief to work out a deal. Izuku would be able to leave but was now under Yue's jurisdiction. It was unknown at the time what the police got out of that deal. Walking into the school, Izuku was shown to Nizu's office. They walked in to find him behind his desk. Midoriya, it's good to see you. Glad you can make it. Izuku scoffed. Not like I had much of a choice, seeing as you sent All Might to my house. Not to mention the other heroes looking at me from afar. Nizu smiled. Yes, well, you can't expect us not to have someone watching you. Can I offer you some tea? No thanks, but some chocolate would be nice. The other one gets rather angry if he's not fed, explained Izuku. Right, All Might, if you will, bring us some chocolate, instructed Nizu. But sir, if I go, you'll be left alone with him. That's something I can't allow, protested All Might. But Nizu simply put up his paw. I'll be fine, I trust you won't do anything, Midoriya? Izuku sat back in his chair. That depends on you, Nizu. I won't do anything if you won't. That means clearing out your other guy too, said Izuku, looking up to the roof. Well, I'm surprised you could tell. Mike, if you will. Jumping down from the ceiling was present Mike. That's better, you have my word, no harm will come to you, said Izuku. With his insurance, All Might and Mike were ordered to leave. Alright, cut to the chase, Nizu, why am I here? Nizu put his elbows to the desk. It's simple, really. I'd like for you to become a student here at UA. The hero course, to be exact. Izuku was shocked. What? I'd like you to join the hero course here at UA, repeated Nizu. It took a few moments to process what Nizu was saying, and after getting his head on straight, Izuku just had one question. Why? Nizu jumped off of his chair and walked around the desk. I know what All Might said to you. I also know what happened during middle school, and with Bakugo. Let me assure you that type of behavior is not allowed in my school. Yet he's here and I'm the one being called a criminal, retorted Izuku. Bakugo will be dealt with, believe me, but I do believe he has potential. To grow, to mature, and to become a hero, said Nizu. That being said, I also believe that of you. Me? Asked Izuku, confused. Do you know how many people I've killed? No, but I know the type of people they were. Thieves, drug dealers, violent offenders, violators, arsonists, basically those with nothing to contribute to society. Honestly, you've eliminated a problem and struck fear into the hearts of criminals. We take them down with the ideals of justice and heroes, but you take them down because they deserve it, explained Nizu. Get to the point, Nizu, said Izuku. I know all of this. I bet you do. I'm also willing to bet that you even have followers that believe what you think was right. Why don't you show them that once again but here, as a hero student? I want you to join my school and become a hero, said Nizu. Izuku, there has to be a catch to this. He wouldn't just ask us to join, said Venom. Izuku agreed. While this sounds all good on paper, there has to be a catch. So what do you want in exchange? Nizu smiled. We want you to stop the killings. You are no longer allowed to kill, follow that simple rule and you will have UA's backing. That will keep you safe from the police and others that might want to harm you. This is too good to be true. Stop killing and I get immunity from the cops? What do you say, Venom? Asked Izuku. Venom growled. I don't like it, this rodent is still not telling us something. But his deal does seem enticing. I will leave the decision up to you, Izuku. Nizu noticed a hesitation in Izuku's face. How about as an extra perk I put you in the same hero class as Jiro? That piqued Izuku's interest. What about Bakugo? Once he sees me he will most likely want to attack me. If he does, I will fight back. Let us handle him. I assure you he won't hurt you, said Nizu. But I want to hurt him. An eye for an eye, blood for blood, said Izuku. The problem with that is eventually both will end up blind. Do you honestly want that? Asked Nizu. Izuku smirked. I heal. But Bakugo doesn't. I wonder which one of us goes blind first. Look, I'll be honest with you. This deal is the best we can do. It's either this, or you spend the rest of your days in a jail cell. For your sake, and the sake of others, I hope you choose wisely, said Nizu, staring down Izuku. Izuku sighed. Fine, you got yourself a deal. However, if I find out you are doing anything weird to me, let's just say. Venom then appeared and covered half of Izuku's face. I always wanted to try rat brains. Nizu felt a shiver run down his spine. Steeling his nerves, Nizu reached out his paw. Good to see we both came to an understanding. Izuku reached down and shook Nizu's hand as Venom retreated back inside him. Pleasure doing business. Oh right, there's just one thing I'd like to add to this deal. Just then All Might returned with the chocolate. I didn't know which one you liked, so I got them all. However, as he looked up, All Might was met by Venom's massive fist to his face. Taken off guard, All Might was sent flying through the door he came in from and slammed against the wall down the hall. In the process of that, All Might had let go of the chocolate, which Izuku grabbed before they hit the ground. That felt good. Down the hall, All Might was surprised to say the least. Picking himself up, All Might watched as Nizu and Izuku shook hands again and went their own ways. Izuku turned and gave All Might one final smirk as he walked by. All Might grabbed his chin. That actually hurt. Just how strong is he? A few days later. After the USJ incident, the students were given time off, but now that had ended as it was time to go back to class. Kyoka had lost contact with Izuku over these last couple of days, and she was starting to get worried. She went to class and sat in her usual spot as the class got noisy. Jiro, are you alright? Asked someone, startling her to focus. Kyoka turned to find Momo. Huh, oh yeah, I'm fine, just tired. I see, would you like me to make you a sports drink? Asked Momo. Kyoka shook her head. I'm fine really, but thank you. I was just thinking about who's going to teach homeroom while Aizawa is away. I mean, he did get pretty messed up. I don't know, said Momo. I assume it's going to be another teacher. But as she was saying that, the doors to the class slid open and in walked Aizawa, his face and arms covered in bandages. All right, class, take your seats, I have a few announcements, he said in a muffled voice. The class was stunned. Mr. Aizawa, should you be moving around so soon? Asked Momo. A hero's work is never ending. And if you want to become a hero, then I don't have time to waste, explained Aizawa. Besides, you have other stuff to worry about, like UA's sports festival that is coming up. The class all erupted in cheer. Hell yeah! I can't wait, said Kirishima. As the class celebrated, they suddenly felt a cold stare looking at them. They turned to find Aizawa's eyes beaming at them through the bandages. The class quickly quieted down. Good, as I was saying. UA's sports festival will be the perfect place to show off and maybe even get internship offers. Uraraka then raised her hand. Are you sure this is a good idea? The school was just attacked. While we understand your concern, this year UA will be upping up their defenses. We'll bring in heroes from across Japan to help. We will show Japan and the world that we can and will protect our students," explained Aizawa. Now on to the second announcement. Kyoka rested her elbow on her desk. I wonder what else he has to tell us. I know this is sudden, but I'd like for you to meet your newest classmate. Come on in, kid, instructed Aizawa. The class was surprised to see the door to the room slide open and in walk Izuku wearing the UA uniform. Both Kyoka and Bakugo's eyes widened. Hey everyone, it's nice to meet you. The name's Izuku Midoriya, or you can call us by our other name, Venom. What the hell? Yelled Bakugo, standing up from his seat. What the hell are you doing, Deku? You don't belong here. Izuku smirked. I'd be careful how you talk to me, Bakugo. I wouldn't want to hurt you. Bakugo's eyes began to twitch. Say that again, you useless nerd. I'll blow you to pieces. Getting around his desk, Bakugo rushed Izuku, but just as he reached out an arm, a black sludge slammed against him. Bakugo was then slammed against the wall with so much force that it cracked. I'm sorry, what was that about blowing me up? Asked Izuku in a condescending tone. That's when Venom reshaped itself and forced Bakugo to point the palm of his own hands towards his own face. Aizawa was just about to say something when Kyoka stood up. Izuku! Is that really you? Izuku turned to Kyoka and smiled. Hey Kyoka, told you we'd see each other again. Kyoka then ran up to Izuku and hugged him. Idiot, you made me worry. Retracting Venom, Izuku let Bakugo fall to the floor so he could hug Kyoka back. Sorry, but I'm fine now. Besides, Venom wouldn't stop nagging me. When are we going to see the girl? You should go find her. Seems to me like he missed you. That's when Venom appeared behind Izuku, causing the class to flinch. You said you wouldn't talk about that. I only wanted to see her because of you, Izuku. All you kept thinking about was her. Kyoka laughed. Seems to me that both of you missed me. If you three are done, I'd like to explain to the rest of the class what is going on, said Aizawa. That means no more attacking him, Bakugo. Do I make myself clear? Said Aizawa. Bakugo didn't say a word as he walked to his seat. Izuku nodded and let go of Kyoka. We'll talk later. Walking back to her seat, the class watched in disbelief. They all heard of Venom and all of the people he's killed. So how did Kyoka know this guy, and why were they so close? Standing in front once again, Izuku waited for Aizawa. As I was saying, Midoriya here will be joining us for this year as a sort of rehabilitation program. While we know how dangerous he is, we've already come up with countermeasures in case he does something. Izuku laughed and lifted up his sleeve to show a small watch-like device around his wrist. This is more like a shock collar if you asked me. That device sends a sound signal through his body that will temporarily incapacitate him. It won't kill you, kid, but it will sure hurt like hell, explained Aizawa. I know. Besides, I won't do anything as long as Kyoka is here, said Izuku, winking at her. Kyoka blushed, causing her to turn away from him. Right, anyway, go sit down. If you have any questions, ask the class president Ida. That's when a tall boy who wore glasses stood up. My name is Tenya Ida. It's a pleasure to meet you, Midoriya. I do hope we get along, said Ida, bowing rapidly. All right, let's get along, said Izuku, taken aback by his attitude. Looking into the class, he noticed an empty seat in the back row and deduced that it was his. Walking over to the seat, he passed Momo, who didn't even look at him. Izuku. Yeah, I know. That girl is his daughter, thought Izuku, thinking back to Kenshin. We'll have to be careful around her, especially if she's anything like her father. The morning classes went on as usual. Well, kind of. Every time a new teacher would come in, they would pass along a small device. That might be what controls the device around my wrist. Noted. It was now lunchtime, and as expected, the class was wary of Izuku, for good reason. Should we go talk to him? Asked a guy with red hair. Are you crazy? Do you want to end up like that bird thing at the USJ? Asked a small boy with purple balls on his head. But he saved us, didn't he? He did defeat it to save Jiro. So he can't be all bad, right? Asked a girl with short brown hair. As Izuku stood up, the class all began to walk out of the class. This is bringing back some bad memories. Then try to make some new ones, said a voice in front of Izuku. Looking up, Izuku found Kyoka standing there with Momo behind her. What are you just standing around there for? You're hungry, right? Izuku nodded. Yeah, I could eat just about anything right now. Does that include your liver? Because it's looking really tasty right about now, said Venom. No. I like my organs where they are. Let's go to eat before this guy eats me from the inside out, said Izuku. Kyoka nodded. Let's go, but are you sure your friend doesn't mind? Kyoka looked back at Momo, who shook her head. I don't mind, rather I'd quite enjoy it. You did save us from the villains at the USJ. With that, the three of them walked towards the cafeteria. They got their food and Izuku made sure to get 3 servings of chocolate cake for Venom. They looked around and eventually found an empty table. Taking a seat, they began to eat. It was only until Momo broke the silence. So Midoriya, I saw that you were rather close with Jiro here. Something going on between you two? Kyoka nearly spit out her food. Izuku laughed when he saw that. Well, I'd like to think we are more than friends. What do you say, Kyoka? Well, I'm not saying we aren't. I mean we are together, right? Asked Kyoka, still unsure about their relationship. Izuku smiled. If you're willing to put up with me, then I'll gladly be with you. I've been putting up with you for a while now. Dummy, said Kyoka, jabbing her jacks into Izuku's side. Well, I guess that settles it, me and Kyoka are together, said Izuku as her jacks wrapped around his arm. Momo laughed. Well, I guess it does. Regarding your status here, Midoriya, aren't you going to be far behind in terms of classwork? Normally, yes, but that's to Venom I'm able to access some memories of its precious host. Since it bonded with Kyoka, I now know what she knows, explained Izuku. Kyoka stopped. What? How much do you know? Izuku smirked. Just about your classes and the material. Kyoka breathed a sigh of relief. And the fact that you dressed up as Raven from the Teen Titans one year for Halloween when you were little. Kyoka turned red, before bringing her jack centimeters from Izuku's eye. Don't say another word. Izuku put up his hands. All right, I won't. The three then talked about random things and even seemed to get along, much to everyone's surprise. But Izuku secretly didn't trust Momo. How could he? But since Kyoka and Momo seemed to be close friends, Izuku played along. Lunch was over and it was now time for hero study. Izuku wasn't looking forward to this, since the class was taught by All Might. But eventually All Might appeared with a bruise on his face. Izuku smirked, knowing that he was the one who did it. Now that I am here, let's get started with the class. As you may know by now, Midoriya, aka Venom, has joined us. Now some of you may be thinking, does he have what it takes to save people? Short answer, yes, but only when he controls himself. Think you can do it, Midoriya? Asked All Might. Izuku stepped forward. I can probably take down everyone in this class if I wanted to. So yeah, saving people would be easy. The class all glared at Izuku. What did you say? Does he really think he can take us? He's strong, but there's no way he can beat all of us. Izuku smirked as he heard everyone. Well, All Might, I think a demonstration is in order. What do you say? All Might sighed. Very well, everyone get changed and meet us at Ground Omega. The class all got up and went for the lockers to change. Kyoka walked past Izuku with a worried look on her face, but Izuku was unfazed. Aren't you going to change too? Asked All Might. Izuku turned to All Might. I already have my suit. That's when Venom appeared around Izuku's face and covered half of it. Time to hunt. Try not to hurt them, they are still my students, said All Might. Ground Omega. Class 1A now stood in the middle of an empty open arena, all of them wearing their hero costumes. Any plans on how to take him? Asked the girl with pink skin. No idea, he took on that monster at the USJ and won, said Kirishima. You seem to be friendly with him, Jiro. Any tips? Asked an invisible girl. Kyoka nodded. Yet just one sound, the other guy hates it. But knowing Izuku, he would probably aim for me first. Use me as bait, and once you see a chance, take it. Don't hold back, cause he won't. That's when Izuku walked into the gym wearing military-style pants, and just a muscle shirt that stuck to his skin, revealing the outline of his six-pack. The girls slightly blushed at the sight of him. Well, you can't say he's not hot, said Mina. The girls all nodded, much to the guys' dismay. Sorry to keep you guys waiting, said Izuku as he now stood in front of the class. All Might was explaining a few things. I'm not allowed to kill you, obviously. And that's about it. He'll be watching from down here and will stop me if I go too far. So how do we do this? Teams of 2 or what? Asked Kaminari. Izuku laughed. Wow, I didn't know the famous Class 1A were so lame. There will only be 2 teams, me and all of you guys. You actually believe you can take us all, Ribbit? Asked Sue. Izuku nodded. Easily. Bakugo clenched his fists. Why you? Cocky little shit. I'll blow you to pieces, yelled Bakugo as he launched his way towards Izuku. Standing still, Izuku smiled. If you're all like him, then. Appearing from his back, black tendrils managed to catch Bakugo in midair. They wrapped around his arm and crushed one of his gauntlets into pieces. Izuku then flung Bakugo towards the wall. Slamming against it, Bakugo sunk into the wall, cracking it. You'll end up like him. The class watched as one of their strongest was thrown around like it was nothing. Damn, maybe we shouldn't have provoked him, said Ojiro. Too late to back down, said Momo. We either take him down or he takes us down. Work together and we might have a chance. The class agreed and readied themselves. Izuku smiled. That's more like it. Venom then began to appear around Izuku. Soon it completely covered him. Now standing as tall as All Might, Izuku looked down at the class. Who's next? The class all looked at Izuku with fear in their eyes. Attack! Yelled Kyoka as she plunged her earphone jacks into the ground. The class all followed her order and jumped into battle. 2 minutes later, Izuku stood face to face with Kyoka as Venom retracted into his body. Give up? Kyoka nodded as her breathing was heavy. Did I even stand a chance? Out of everyone, you and that ice guy had the best chance of beating me, said Izuku. That's when we saw that Izuku had a hand around her waist. Still, I don't know why Swirl over there didn't use his fire. What a waste. Hey, be nice. Maybe he doesn't have full control of it, said Kyoka. Now, can you please let me go? This is getting embarrassing, said Kyoka, blushing. Izuku smirked. It's fine. However, as the two smiled at each other, Bakugo finally managed to pull himself together. Why, you bastard! No one does this to me. I'll kill you! Using his explosions, Bakugo launched himself towards Izuku, but to get to him, Bakugo had to get through Kyoka. Move! He yelled out, raising his hand. Izuku's eyes widened when he noticed Bakugo, but by then he was already so close to Kyoka. With no time to think, Izuku turned Kyoka around and took the blast head on. The entire arena was blanketed in smoke. All Might quickly rushed in. Is everyone all right? But as the smoke cleared, his eyes widened when he saw Izuku's chest charcoal black and Kyoka knocked out by the shockwave. His surprise, however, soon turned to worry when Izuku lifted his head and saw the look on his face that sent a shiver down the number 1 hero's spine. And Midoriya, calm down. Don't do anything rash. But it was far too late for that. Faster than Bakugo could react, Izuku threw his hand forward. That's when tendrils appeared from his hand that pierced Bakugo in both his shoulders, his sides, and lower abdomen. The impact was enough to send Bakugo flying towards the wall. Slamming against it, Bakugo gritted his teeth as pain shot through his body. Why, you bastard! Bakugo then tried to blast the tendrils away, but before he could, Izuku came in and kneed him against the wall. The wall behind him broke as a result, causing it to cave atop Bakugo. You fucked up this time, said Izuku, now fully covered in venom. All Might, seeing what had happened, finally approached Izuku and placed a hand on his shoulder. That's enough, Midoriya, now stand down. But Izuku said nothing as he quickly turned around and smacked All Might away. Sliding to a stop in the middle of the arena, All Might felt blood running down his lip. And much to his horror, he saw as Izuku picked Bakugo up from the rubble and opened his mouth. Quickly reaching into his pocket, All Might pulled out a small controller with a big red button. Sorry about this, Midoriya, said All Might as he clicked the button. With Izuku, he now had Bakugo hanging upside down by his leg. You should have never messed with me, Kaken. The school said they would take care of you, but I think that pleasure should be mine. Izuku opened his massive mouth, but before he could even take a bite, a loud, high-pitched sound began to emit from the device around his wrist. The sound caused Venom to screech out in pain as its body began to twist and morph. Before long, Venom tried to remove the device, but to no success. Finally succumbing to the sound, Venom retreated back into Izuku. Seeing that Venom was now gone, All Might stopped the sound. Getting up, he walked over to Izuku to find him on his knees, his breathing heavy and erratic. That hurt? It was supposed to. Now you know what we can do. Step out of line, hurt another student, or even threaten another student. I will rip that thing out of you with my own hands, said All Might, towering over the boy. Izuku smirked as sweat dripped down his forehead. Fuck you, All Might. With that, Izuku collapsed to the floor unconscious. Calling in help, All Might made sure Kyoka and Bakugo were taken to the nurse's office. Now it was Izuku's turn, however by the time Recovery Girl went over the wounds on Izuku's chest healed thanks to Venom. Now in the nurse's office Izuku was secured. That thing inside him helped him. If it wasn't for that or just dumb luck, kid would have been dead, explained Recovery Girl. It's dangerous, that's what it is, said All Might standing beside the bed. Dangerous, yes, but only when provoked or when I want to do something, said Venom, appearing from Izuku. All Might flinched as the black goo raised up and shaped into Venom's face. It's good to finally meet the so-called #1 hero. All Might narrowed his eyes. Venom. So this is what you really look like. Venom smiled, showing his razor-sharp teeth. Are you afraid? I've seen quirks scarier than you, so no, explained All Might. Good. As he was speaking, Venom suddenly sniffed the air. What's this? You're dying, aren't you, hero? All Might said nothing. That injury on you is pretty bad, it would be a shame if someone made it worse. All Might said nothing as Venom smirked. You're no fun, oh well, ask your question now. Taking a deep breath, All Might steadied himself. Why did you bond with Midoriya? Venom looked at Izuku. The boy was lost, distraught, and broken. Can you guess from what? Venom laughed as he looked at All Might with a look of despair on his face. It is as you are thinking. The reason is you, All Might. What you said to the boy on the roof broke him. And there I was, picking up the broken pieces. But I didn't just fix him, no, I made him stronger. At first it was all bloodlust with a sense of justice that drove us. Now only 3 things drive him: his family, the girl called Kyoka, and his hatred for you. All Might hung his head. I am truly sorry for what I said that day. If you were sorry, then you wouldn't have stopped us from cleaning up the streets, said Venom. You were just killing people, argued All Might. But do you know who we were killing? Asked Venom. We were killing drug dealers who sold to kids, murderers, thugs who robbed and assaulted people for the fun of it. That's who we're killing. Now everything that they do is on you. The heroes will catch them, said All Might. And then what? Put them in jail? No, you can't just lock away evil. You have to destroy it, or in my case eat it, said Venom, licking his face. All Might's expression turned stern. What about you? Some would call you evil. Venom laughed. I prefer anti-hero. I just do what you won't. With nothing else to say, All Might left the room, leaving Recovery Girl to tend to Izuku. It was an hour later until Izuku woke up. Man, that sound really hurts. It's supposed to, remember, said Recovery Girl. Yeah, but couldn't they just lower the pitch? I could die from that frequency, explained Izuku. No, you won't. The device also has a monitor that keeps track of your vitals. It will hurt a lot, but it won't kill you, said Recovery Girl. Yeah, whatever. Can I go now? I'd like to go home, said Izuku, sitting up on the bed. That's when he noticed he was shirtless. Didn't know you liked young guys, RC. Recovery Girl smacked Izuku on the head. Don't be an idiot. Your shirt was burned when you got hit by the blast. Izuku rubbed the top of his head. Right, forgot about that. So, how's Bakugo? He's alive. That's when Recovery Girl heard Izuku click his tongue. As I was saying, he's already been discharged. Couple of cuts and a few broken bones, but nothing I can't fix. Shame, really. That's when Recovery Girl noticed Izuku's demeanor change. What about Kyoka, is she alright? Recovery Girl smiled. She's fine, the explosion managed to knock her out but no injuries. You took the worst of it. Izuku nodded. Good, good, I was getting worried. You really care for her, don't you? Asked Recovery Girl. Again Izuku nodded. Yeah, I do, she's one of the few people who don't hate me. Even after finding out everything I've done, she's still with me. Izuku laughed. It's funny actually, All my life I've been alone, but in such a short amount of time she's become the most important person in my life." Recovery Girl smiled, but before she could say anything, Venom appeared. "What about me? Aren't I important to you?" Izuku looked away. "No, you're annoying." "What? You take that back," yelled Venom as he began to headbutt Izuku. "That hurt you little." The two then began to fight, with Izuku pulling on Venom, and Venom repeatedly hitting Izuku. After a while the two calmed down and were allowed to leave. The rest of the day was uneventful. Izuku and Kyoka were now walking to the train station. Normally they would talk, but this time around Kyoka wasn't speaking to Izuku. "So, are you mad at me?" asked Izuku. Kyoka kept walking. "Come on, Kyoka, I said I was sorry." Kyoka suddenly stopped, turned around and pointed her jacks at Izuku. "I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. You almost got yourself kicked out of the school. And for what? Bakugo? He isn't worth it. I know he's done some terrible things to you and I get you want some payback, but don't do it so publicly." Izuku sighed. "Alright, I won't. So please don't be mad at me." Removing her jacks, Kyoka smiled. "I'll forgive you, but first you have to buy me something." "Anything," said Izuku. "Perfect, my favorite band just dropped a new album, so that will do," said Kyoka. As they walked to the station, Izuku smiled as he watched Kyoka happy, but that's when Izuku and Venom felt an overwhelming sense of bloodlust looking right at them. Izuku quickly turned around, his eyes wide open, and Venom appeared around his arm. Izuku looked at the people walking by and the roofs of the buildings but saw nothing. "What the hell was that?" "I do not know, but whoever it was, that bloodlust was directed towards us," said Venom. "Whoever that was, they're gone. Stay alert, Izuku. I get the feeling they wanted us to know they were looking at us." Izuku agreed. "Yeah, I'll be careful." As Izuku and Kyoka got on the train, the mystery person ran down a dark alley. "Stop!" said a hero appearing from the other end. The mystery person stopped. "I saw you looking at people from the wall. If you don't mind, I'd like to ask you some questions." The hero then approached the mystery person, but as they did, the hero was suddenly stabbed in the back. Blood stained the hero's costume as they looked back to see what appeared to be a tendril. What the hell? Who are you?" But as the hero turned to face the mystery person, a slicing sound was heard, followed by the thump of the hero's body hitting the floor, and his head rolling to a stop in front of the mystery person. A laugh was then heard as the mystery person began to giggle. "Just someone who's in love. Fun." It was now the following day, and Izuku sat silently in Nisa's office with his eyes closed as the principal looked at him with a stern look on his face. "Are you going to say something, or are you just wasting my time here?" asked Izuku. Nisa sighed. "Do you think what you did was wrong?" "You have to be more specific," said Izuku, trying Nisa's patience. "Bakugo, I said we would take care of him," said Nizu. Izuku scoffed. "Yeah, well, I just sped up the process. Besides, he attacked me first, something you said he wouldn't do. Yet you allowed Aizawa, the hero who got fucking wrecked by the villains, back into class? Where was the logic in that? Seems to me we both broke our agreement." Nisa sighed. "You don't understand, Midoriya. We have a way of doing things here at UA. Sometimes it takes a while." Izuku then stood up. "Well, figure it out, or I will. If you're looking for an apology, you won't get one. Suspend me, kick me out, I really don't care. But do you really want everyone to know you allowed a dangerous villain on campus and failed to keep him in line? That sounds like a PR nightmare to me. You're on thin ice, Midoriya. Another outburst like that and we will hand you over to the police. Is that understood?" asked Nizu, staring down Izuku. "You do what you have to do, and so will I." With that, Izuku walked out of the office. As he walked the halls, he suddenly heard Venom scream. "This is bullshit. Does that rat think he can just threaten us like that? I'll kill him." Izuku grabbed his head. "Easy, Venom, we can't do anything to him right now. And what's with you? You've been pissy all day today, what gives?" "It's the hunger, Izuku, we hunger. I need to hunt, to eat. We shouldn't be wasting our time here. There are plenty of criminals we can eat out there," said Venom. Venom wasn't wrong, thought Izuku, but he couldn't just let him loose again. If he did that, Izuku would once again be a wanted man and his time with Kyoka would be over. "Look, I get it, but we have to take it easy. I'll get you some more chocolate, but that's all we can do at the moment." "No!" We need to hunt! Yelled Venom into Izuku's head. Using the wall to suppress him, Izuku struggled to keep Venom at bay. Shut up! You really want to get out? Then figure out a way to get that device off of us. We can't do anything while that is on us. Venom stayed quiet after that. Izuku went back to his class. During lunch, Kyoka tried to ask him about what Nisa had to say, but Izuku simply said that it was nothing. It had been a few days since Izuku had joined up with UA, and things started to calm down in class. He wasn't fighting as much with Bakugo but did occasionally bump heads, without anyone losing their heads. However, there was another problem. Every day Venom was getting harder and harder for Izuku to control. The urges were just getting too strong, and since Izuku and Venom were one, he too felt it. Izuku would often find himself blacking out for an unknown amount of time and waking up in his bed. He asked Venom about it, but he just said that it was fine and normal. But one person could see something was wrong: Kyoka. Something about the way Izuku looked struck her as weird. Day of the sports festival. Izuku and the rest of Class 1A were sitting around talking with each other in a waiting area. Kyoka was talking with some of the girls, while Izuku sat alone on a bench. Why are you feeling nervous? Asked Venom. I'm not, answered Izuku. Bullshit, your heart rate is increasing and your palms are starting to sweat. Why are you nervous? Asked Venom again. Izuku sighed. I don't know, just a feeling I suppose. I can't tell if it's the sports festival, or something else. The person with the enormous killing intent, answered Venom. Izuku nodded. Yeah? They were directing it towards me, but Kyoka was right there too. What if they go after her, or worse? You cannot think that way. If something does try to harm her, we will deal with them. Besides, no one short of All Might or that fire hero can beat us. Speaking of which, heads up, we got company, said Venom. Midoriya. Izuku turned around to see Shoto Todoroki standing behind him. Standing up, Izuku turned to his classmate. Can I help you? The class fell silent as the two stared at each other. Whoa, what's going on here? Asked Kirishima. I want you to know that you'll lose today. No matter what you do, or what power you have. I will beat you, simply because I'm stronger, said Todoroki, with a cold expression on his face. Izuku was taken aback at first, but that feeling soon turned to laughter. That was a good one, Todoroki. I didn't think you were a jokester, said Izuku, smacking Todoroki on the shoulder. Todoroki looked down at his shoulder. I wasn't joking. Izuku suddenly stopped laughing. So you're serious? Todoroki nodded. I see, well, that's a shame. It's good to have dreams, Todoroki, but at least make them achievable. You'll never be stronger than me. I mean, you couldn't even help the class at the USJ. Where was your strength then? I'm happy to show it to you if you like, said Todoroki as the air around him began to chill. You second-rate villain. Izuku's glare pierced Todoroki as they both looked like they were about to throw down. Venom then appeared around Izuku's fist as ice appeared on Todoroki's hand. But before either of them could do anything, Kyoka stepped in front of them. What the hell is this about? You two want to relax or what? We're in the same class, for God's sake. Both students deactivated their powers. Just having a bit of fun is all. Right, Todoroki? Asked Izuku. Todoroki nodded. Yeah, just a bit of friendly competition, that's all. Kyoka wasn't convinced. Right, so if you two are done sizing each other up, they are just about to call us up. So how about we save that energy for the sports festival? Without saying a word, Todoroki turned and left. Kyoka breathed a sigh of relief. Good, now you? Kyoka said, pointing her jacks at Izuku. What's up with you? You've been acting strange these last couple of days. What's up? Izuku moved the jacks from his face. It's nothing, just tired, that's all. But Kyoka wasn't convinced. No, it's something else. Now tell me, what's bothering you? Izuku stayed silent. Kyoka thought about it. It's Venom, isn't it? If something's wrong, we can go to Recovery Girl. But as Kyoka was speaking, Izuku interrupted her. It's nothing I can handle at least. Stop worrying about me and focus on the sports festival. With that, Izuku went back to sitting down. Kyoka was about to say something when there was an announcement that Class 1A should start heading down to the arena. Getting up, Izuku waited in the back with his head down. As they exited the tunnel, the class were met by the cheer of thousands of people. And here they are! The world-famous hero course, Class 1A! Yelled President Mike from his booth. So Eraserhead, this is your class? Who has the best shot at winning? Aizawa, who was still wrapped in bandages, sighed. They all have great potential, so it's hard to say who. But this year we have a wild card joining the class. That's right. Many of you may have noticed by now, but we recently worked with the police to help a young troubled youth. You may also know him as Venom. The cameras all turned to Izuku as he walked onto the field. Some in the crowd went silent, while others, mostly women, cheered for him. Kyoka suddenly felt angry. What the hell? He has a fan base. Jiro, are you alright? Asked Momo standing next to her. Yeah, I'm good, answered Kyoka with ice in her voice. We are fully aware of what he could do and have already put measures into place in case something does happen. Here at Yui we believe everyone deserves a second chance, especially those who are misguided, announced Mike. Misguided? What the hell is he talking about? Thought Izuku as he looked up to the booth. On the field the rest of the first-year classes began to show up. Once they were all on the field a loud cracking sound was heard. Alright kids, that's enough talk. Now it's time to play. The students looked up to see the pro hero Midnight walking onto a stage wearing her hero costume, which left little to the imagination. The boys all blushed, while the girls all glared at the hero. Izuku was unfazed by the hero but felt the daggers Kyoka was shooting his way. Looks like you're in trouble, said Venom. Izuku laughed nervously. I didn't even do anything wrong though. Welcome everyone to UA's Sports Festival. Now I know you're all eager to get the show on the road. But first, let's hear some words of encouragement from Class 1A's President Momo Yayorozu. Izuku narrowed his eyes as Momo walked onto the stage. Clearing her throat, Momo looked at the crowd. As many of you know, the hero course was attacked not too long ago. It was a difficult time for us, but it also proved to be a difficult time for the school. It showed that no matter what we do, we should always be prepared for the worst. Luckily for us, the brave work of our teachers saved us from the villains, and for that we are forever grateful. But we will use this tragedy and make it into something amazing. We will show all of Japan, no, the world, that we will become heroes. And that even the most unexpected of people. Momo then looked down at Izuku. Can have an impact on others. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy the festival. The crowd cheered as Momo walked off the stage. Izuku smirked. I think she's mocking me. Thank you, Yayorozu, that was very touching. Now let's get the games started, shall we? Midnight then pointed to the Jumbotron. A wheel then appeared with several events. And our first event will be... The wheel then began to spin, and before long it slowed down before stopping. Midnight smiled. Our first event is the obstacle race. This course will go around the entire stadium and will have several obstacles, so be careful. You are allowed to use your quirks freely, just try not to hurt each other. Midnight pointed the whip at Izuku when she said that. Now everyone please line up at the starting line. Oh, this might actually be fun, said Izuku as he walked with the rest of the class. Now in the tunnel the entire first-year classes were packed closely together. Man, they really didn't give us much room, huh? Said Kyoka as she was being pushed. However, that's when someone grabbed her waist and pulled her. Stopping, Kyoka looked up to see Izuku. You good? Kyoka nodded. Yeah, thanks for that. Don't mention it, so you got a plan? Asked Izuku. Run, I guess, said Kyoka. Why would I need a plan? Izuku then motioned to the front. Because of him. Looking at the front of the line, Kyoka noticed Todoroki. He's planning something. My guess is he'll try to block us with some ice. That shouldn't be a problem. I can just blast my way through it, said Kyoka waving around her jacks. You could, but I would appreciate it if you wouldn't, said Izuku. Weak to sound, remember? Right, so what do you have in mind? Asked Kyoka. Izuku smirked as he leaned in and whispered into Kyoka's ear. That might actually work, said Kyoka. All right, and the students are set. Let's get this started. In 3, 2, 1, go! Yelled President Mike as a loud horn was heard. With the race officially started, everyone took off, but since there were so many people there was little room to move. But as people were pushing and shoving, Todoroki escaped and was now in the lead. Sorry about this, everyone, but there's someone here that I have to prove wrong. Turning around, Todoroki created a massive wall of ice in front of the starting line. Whoa, look at that! Todoroki is sabotaging his class. What will they do to get past this? Aizawa looked up. They won't get past it. They'll go through it. The camera then switched over to the ice where out of nowhere it shattered, creating a hole through it. Did you really think this would slow me down? Asked Izuku, with Venom completely surrounding him. And much to everyone's surprise, Kyoka in his arms. This was quickly followed by more shattering of ice. What the hell, half and half? I'll fucking blow you up! Yelled Bakugo as he blasted through the ice. Todoroki ignored them as he continued to run. But he himself was stopped when robots appeared in front of him. Did you think we'd make it that easy? Asked Mike. Welcome to the first stage, the robo battle. These are the robots we used during the entrance exam, so be careful. We even added some of the zero-pointers for good measure. Standing before the massive robots, Todoroki was about to destroy them when Izuku and Kyoka zoomed past them. Don't just stand there, do something! Izuku then jumped into the air and began to climb up the zero-pointer's arm. You ready? Kyoka nodded. Let's do this. Pulling his arm back, Izuku suddenly threw Kyoka high into the air. Everyone watched as she landed on the Titan's head. Your armor is strong, but the wires inside you aren't. Jamming her jacks into the robot, Kyoka sent sound waves through it. The robot then began to spark and crumble as its internal wiring was now destroyed. That's when the Titan began to lean. Kyoka quickly got up and ran towards the edge. With a powerful leap, Kyoka jumped off the Titan. The arena thought she was crazy, or at the very least was going to get hurt. But now, halfway down, the robot Izuku appeared and snatched her out of the air. I got you. You better. Let's go, time to win this thing. With that, Izuku flung Kyoka onto his shoulders and began to run. Bulldozing through the smaller robots, Izuku and Kyoka made it to the second obstacle. The second obstacle consisted of a long open section of the ground that had been hollowed out, and now had pillars sticking out from the ground. Now what? Asked Kyoka. Izuku smiled. Hold on. Taking a few steps back, Izuku then ran towards the edge and jumped off. He aimed for one of the pillars but unfortunately didn't make it. The two then fell into the dark abyss below. However, that's when a black tendril dug into the pillar near the top. Appearing out from the dark was Izuku and Kyoka. Kyoka was screaming as she held onto Izuku tightly. I hate you! Izuku smiled. We both know that's not true. Going from pillar to pillar, the two of them made it to the other side while the others were just making it to the second obstacle. The two of them were having the time of their lives winning, but not everything was fun in the stadium. In the maintenance halls of the stadium, the worker was pushing a cart filled with cleaning supplies. Man, I should have stayed at that office job. This place is more labor-intensive, but it does pay better. Guess that's what happens when you work for UA. As the man walked, he passed by an air duct. As he did, a red liquid began to ooze from it. It splattered on the ground, which made a sound. The man heard it and turned around. Huh! I didn't see that. Going back, the man grabbed a mop, but just as he was about to clean it up, a red tendril came down and grabbed the man by the neck. The man struggled against the tendril as it began to lift him off the ground. Gasps for air were heard throughout the halls, followed by a loud cracking sound. With a thump, the man's body hit the floor, his eyes bulging and his face purple. He was dead. That's when more of the red ooze dropped down beside the man. At first it was a puddle, but it soon reshaped itself in a tall, red, skinny monstrosity. So, what do we do with this one? The creature was slender in size, but tall in height. They also had the same white eyes as Venom had and the same razor-sharp teeth. Retracting part of the face, it was revealed that Toga was underneath. Do what you want. I only have one person I want. Izuku Midoriya, I'll make him mine. Covering her up again, the creature picked the man up and bit down on the man's head. Blood splattered across the walls and floor. Yummy. Hey, I won't be able to get close to Izuku like this. Let me take over for a bit. You'll have your fun again, remember what I promised, said Toga. The creature smiled. The girl. With its body folding and shrinking, the creature retracted inside of Toga. Now free to move around, Toga looked down at the pool of blood and sniffed the air. Now this is what I call a good time. Let's go make Izuku mine, but in order to do that, I need the girl out of the way. Back with Izuku. And just like that, Midoriya and Jiro are in the final obstacle. Midoriya may be strong, but he'll need more than brute strength to get past the minefield, yelled Present Mike. Stopping in front of the last obstacle, Izuku put Kyoka down. Any ideas on how to get past this? Kyoka noticed several circles on the ground. Those must be where the mines are, but we can't just walk across. Some of them are overlapping and there's no telling if all are visible. Thinking, Kyoka got an idea. I'll use my quirk. If I send out a small vibration through the ground, I should be able to feel where they are. Izuku nodded. Go for it. Venom, think we can do the same with our tendrils? Ha! That's too easy, Izuku, said Venom. Izuku rolled his eyes as his tendrils began to appear from his back and dig into the ground. Slowly but surely the two were making it across, but by the time they took to find and get rid of the mines, the others were quickly approaching. Izuku turned around to find Bakugo, and Todoroki had passed the second obstacle. They're coming! Yelled Izuku. I know! But if we mess up here, we'll be blown back, said Kyoka. The two of them were about halfway through the final obstacle when the runner-ups reached the third obstacle. Izuku looked at Kyoka and got an idea. Keep going, I'll slow them down. Underneath the ground, Izuku began to grab the mines that he found. One by one he ripped them out of the ground and launched them into the air. Todoroki and Bakugo looked up towards the sky to see mines raining down from the sky. You think this will stop me? Yelled Bakugo as he used his explosions to dodge the mines. Todoroki raised his hands and froze the mines in mid-air. Child's play. Izuku flung the last of the mines he had around him. Great, that only slowed them down slightly. Now what? Now we make sure they don't get past us, said Venom. I like the way you think, Venom. Izuku then ran at the two at full speed. The two students didn't even have time to react when Izuku appeared in front of them. Hello guys, sorry, but this is as far as you go. Grabbing their faces, Venom used his strength and buried them into the ground. With a loud thud, the skulls of Todoroki and Bakugo smacked against the ground. Thinking he had knocked them out, Izuku stood up. Too easy. Turning back around, Izuku was about to go back to help Kyoka when out of nowhere an ice spike came from the ground and pierced Izuku through the shoulder. What? Izuku turned around, but as he did, he was met by Bakugo's hand. Throwing his arm forward, Bakugo let out a massive explosion. The blast managed to push Izuku back with the piece of ice still in his shoulder. Sliding to a stop a few feet away, Izuku turned around. Now this is unexpected. I never thought the two of you would team up. The two Hero Course students now stood side by side with blood running down their faces. This is only temporary. Once we get past you, it's business as usual, said Bakugo. Frozen mist appeared around Todoroki's arm. Now get out of our way. Izuku smiled underneath the symbiote. So that's how you want to play it. Alright, I'll bite, but fair warning, Venom likes to play with his food before he eats it. Grabbing the piece of ice in his shoulder, Izuku pulled it out by punching it out. Picking up the spike, he threw it at Bakugo. Bakugo reacted fast enough and managed to blow it up. But as the ice shards fell around him, Bakugo's eyes widened when a black tendril attached itself onto his chest. Pulling on the tendril, Izuku yanked Bakugo towards him. With his other arm, Izuku transformed it into a massive hammer and brought it down. Thinking fast, Bakugo blew up the tendril and jumped back just as the hammer was brought down. Seeing his chance, Todoroki threw his arm onto the ground and activated his quirk. Seeing the floor ice up, Izuku instinctively jumped up. As he did, several ice spikes appeared from the ground. Using them to his advantage, Izuku swung from spike to spike. You idiot! You just gave him more room to move! Yelled Bakugo as he rocketed towards him. Seeing this, Izuku once again threw down a tendril, but this time Bakugo dodged. Ha! Missed, now you're mine! Yelled Bakugo. Oh, I wasn't aiming for you, said Izuku, pulling on the tendril. Bakugo then put it together. Looking down, he noticed Todoroki trying to freeze over the tendril. But he wasn't fast enough. Colliding in mid-air, the two became an intertwined mess. Get off me! Yelled Bakugo. However, as the two struggled, Izuku flew in with his arm pulled back. Todoroki saw this and created an ice shield, but Izuku was too strong and shattered the ice, sending the both crashing onto the ground. As they laid there discombobulated, Izuku wrapped them in a tendril. You guys put up a good fight, I'll give you that. But you two suck at teamwork. If you fought me one-on-one, you may have stood a better chance. With that, Izuku once again ran towards Kyoka, who was still finding the mines. Kyoka! Jump! Yelled Izuku. Looking back, Kyoka saw Izuku running towards her. Knowing that he had a plan, Kyoka did what Izuku told her and jumped. Coming in, Izuku snagged her out of the air and jumped. With a powerful leap, Izuku managed to clear the last of the mines. Landing, Izuku put her down. So who's going to cross the finish line first? Kyoka thought about it. You can go, I'll be fine with second. Are you sure? I don't mind being second place, said Izuku. Kyoka nodded. I'm sure, now go. Well, alright then. Izuku then took a step forward, but as he did, something stuck onto his back. Turning around, he noticed what it was. Ah, hell. With a mid-level sound blast, Kyoka managed to partially get Venom off of Izuku. Screeching in pain, Izuku fell to his knees. Sorry about that, Izuku, you just made it too easy. Izuku watched as Kyoka crossed the finish line. She got us. Izuku smiled. She sure did. Oh well, that's what I like about her, always unpredictable. Crossing the line shortly after, Izuku came in second. Sorry about that, Izuku, but I really wanted to take first. But I also didn't want it to be handed to me, explained Kyoka. Now with Venom fully retracted, Izuku put up his hand. Nah, don't worry about it. I let my guard down. You deserved it. Thanks, said Kyoka. But don't think you'll get off scot-free, said Izuku, getting close to Kyoka. Kyoka took a step back. What do you mean? Izuku smirked. I mean this. Lifting her chin, Izuku leaned in and planted a kiss on Kyoka's lips. The whole stadium and everyone watching at home watched as the two kissed. Kyoka's eyes widened, and after a few seconds they pulled away. Now we're even, said Izuku. Kyoka was blushing but also had a very angry-looking expression on her face. Why you? I'll get you for this. Izuku quickly ran away as Kyoka ran behind him, trying to stab him with her jacks. But that's when someone came out of one of the tunnels in the stands. It was the worker from before. But in reality it was Toga using her quirk. So that's him? The boy you're after? Toga nodded. Yes, and that girl is the one we have to get rid of. She looks tasty, said the monster inside Toga. She'll pay for touching my Izuku, said Toga as her eyes turned bloodshot red. But we must first wait for the perfect opportunity. Once we do, we strike. Toga watched from the stands as Izuku and the remaining students were all told the next game, a cavalry battle. She watched as Izuku teamed up with Kyoka again, along with another two of his classmates. She watched as everyone else targeted Kyoka's points, as she was worth 10 million. Toga watched as Izuku did everything in his power to protect Kyoka, which only served to piss her off. Every second of every moment Izuku spent with Kyoka just made Toga's blood boil. She was itching to just go down there and kill Kyoka right now and make Izuku hers. But Toga knew if she did, the heroes in attendance would spring into action, and then she could never be with Izuku. Now it was time for the final event of the sports festival. Izuku, having survived the cavalry battle, knew that it was out of luck. For the actions of one of his classmates, or rather inactions, most likely helped them win. The person in question was Todoroki. During the battle he used his ice, but that did nothing but slow Venom down for a second. But both Izuku and Venom knew that if Todoroki wanted to, he could have killed them, for he had access to a fire quirk. However, Todoroki refused to use it. Why is unknown. So he almost used it, right? Asked Venom. Izuku nodded. Yeah, during the last seconds of the fight he could have easily used his fire to push us back, but didn't. The real question is why. As Izuku thought about it, Kyoka suddenly put a hand on his shoulder. Izuku, you alright? Midnight already announced the rules. We are going into the stands to wait for our match. Oh right, yeah, let's go, said Izuku, trying to play it off. They then walked towards the tunnel, but as they did, Todoroki appeared. Midoriya, we need to talk, said Todoroki. Oh? What about? Asked Izuku. Not here, let's go somewhere else. Just you and me, said Todoroki. Kyoka raised an eyebrow. Why can't you say it in front of me? Todoroki turned to Kyoka. This only concerns Midoriya and I. Kyoka was about to say something when Izuku stopped her. It's fine, Kyoka, meet me in the stands. I won't keep you waiting. Reluctantly, Kyoka agreed. Fine, just don't do anything stupid. When have I done anything stupid? Asked Izuku. Kyoka smiled as she went up towards the stands. The two boys then went off to another section of the arena. Alright, you brought me here, now talk, ordered Izuku. And there you have it, my incredible crew, Part 2 of What If Deku Had Venom? Did it exceed your wildest expectations? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's geek out together. If you're not part of the Chronos crew yet, hit that subscribe button, become a legendary member, and never miss the next chapter of this epic saga. And a massive shout out to the one and only R Smalls. You're the real MVP, my friend. Appreciate each and every one of you for riding this crazy journey with me. Until next time, stay epic, stay legendary, and this is Chronos, signing off. Peace out.